The Gulch, we've got a crash, 40 eastbound at Demonbreun. And in Antioch, disabled vehicle reported by TDOT. This is going to be 24 westbound there at Harding Place. It is particularly heavy if you are eastbound East Loop downtown. Getting that brake tapping starting now eastbound 440 over to 24. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. It is just after 3 o'clock, 3:06 to be precise. My name is Matt Murphy. Conveniently, this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Welcome on in. Glad to have you with us this Thursday, Jan 15, 2026. It is the middle of the month. It's payday for some. Payday for us there, Jackson.
Woo!
I hope you received your meager salary and do not spend it all in one place, my friend.
I can get a gumball.
Oh, you can get more than a gumball. You can get a blood orange if you go out there and go really fast and try really hard. I just had one.
How was it?
It was good. It was messy. I needed a plate and a knife in order to appropriate. But you know what I did? You know what I did at about 2:30 this afternoon? A mere 30 some odd minutes ago, I was ripping the flesh from a blood orange with my bare hands. That's what I was doing. I was just ripping the flesh, and it kind of looks like flesh. That's why they call it a blood orange. But it was good. Nice. Blood orange has that. It is sweet like an orange, but it has that little something going on like a grapefruit, and I'm a big fan of grapefruit. What about you there? Ken Weaver's back in News Closet B. You know what Ken Weaver looks like to me besides a garden gnome? Ken Weaver looks like a grapefruit man.
I can't stand grapefruit.
Dang, sometimes I miss, Ken.
Oh, I don't like it because it tricked me whenever I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
It looked delicious.
Oh, it looked sweet, didn't it?
Yes.
Oh, didn't it?
Bit into it.
And it's called grapefruit.
Yeah, and I was just raw.
There's no grape nor fruit.
No, sir.
You know what you do, kid?
What's that?
You load a bunch of sugar on top of it.
Well, I noticed that's what my mom started doing. Because she was eating it, I think back in the late 70s and early 80s, they thought that grapefruit somehow burned fat.
Uh-huh.
And so, my mom was never fat. She just always wanted to, keep her weight down or whatever. And she started eating that grapefruit.
By the way, good time to give a little hat tip to the Weaver family. Sometimes they listen, don't they?
Oh, they watch us all the time.
Mom and Dad. Watch. Oh, hey, Mom and Dad Weaver. How you doing? I didn't call you fat. Ken did.
They're kind of pulling for Brother Jackson to win this trophy here.
What?
Yeah, they see the ego that's going to their son's head, and they're concerned.
They are fearful that King Weaver is getting the swelled head, as my grandpa used to say. Don't get the swelled head. And I get that. They want to keep their son humble.
And you just can't root for Matt.
Well, no, nobody roots for Murphy. Not
I got to be careful
votes.
what I say. My mom and dad are sitting there freaking watching me.
I've got to be careful how I realized something the other day, and he might be listening right now, and it's pretty funny. My brothers called me out on a couple of my stories because I embellish. You know how you do. You kind of You kind of dress them up for the radio.
Right.
And my brother's like, I don't remember it happening that way. It's like, come on, man.
So which stories is he talking about?
Well, we have had a long-standing dispute about how the baseball bat story went down. Okay, here's the deal. We were going to Disney World the week after this occurred. And Brian was coming at me for some reason. He wanted to rough me up. Brian was 2 years older than me. And I grabbed a baseball bat, and I held it, with just about a foot on top. I was holding it choked up in the middle of the bat, like this, It's like, don't you come at me. He's like, I'm coming at you. And I said, I'm going to hit you with this baseball bat. And he came at me, and I went, bip, woo, right on his noggin.
Woo.
Brian claims that he fell down and faked his injury. The way I remember it, he had a big old knot on his head, and I went down and was like, don't say anything to Lane, otherwise he won't let us go to Disney World, because Lane was our stepfather.
Right.
And Lane was known to, if any little thing went wrong in the house, he would put you on restriction and you didn't get anything because he wasn't a very nice person. But anyway, so Brian and I have had some differences in recollection. And I told that story recently, and Brian, he hit me up and was like, that's not the way it happened. I was just faking. I was like, you were not faking that knot on your head. Brian. Anyway, so I got to watch myself too, Weaver. You know. Good.
Sometimes my nincompoops, like my mom, sometimes she said you're pushing a little too far there, son.
That you tell him, Mama Weaver. I feel the same way. I think Ken gets a little
gets a little a little naughty sometimes.
Frankly, I think Weaver gets a little raunchy.
Oh, Randy Weaver.
little raunchy Ken over there, just talking about naked people flopping in the breeze and all of that.
I got a good one for today.
Woo, I do too, boy. Woo, it's a good one.
Where's yours from, Ken?
I'm not saying.
Well, we need to know that way because you're going first.
I am?
Yes.
Okay, it's out of, I think it's out of Las Vegas.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't have one yet.
Oh, no, this is out of Texas.
So if anyone wants to send me a I've got one from Las Vegas.
Yeah, I've got one from Texas.
I got one from Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Well, you're probably going to win then.
Florida man normally does. Oh, my neighbor out in Helena, Alabama is listening today on iHeart. If you're listening on iHeart, if you're listening wherever you might be listening, we appreciate you. We thank you for doing so. I need the money. Trust me, I just bought a house. Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, our own app, SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Look, if you want to go into if you're a kid, I'll take an old line. Remember the Soupy Sales thing, Ken?
Yes.
This actually happened. Jackson, you will not believe that this happened. But Soupy Sales was a guy who was on television, had a television show back in the 50s, I guess it was. And it was a children's show. And he encouraged the kids that were watching, said, hey, kids, I know we're on early in the morning, and mom and dad are probably still asleep from the night before. They probably had a big party or whatever. What I want you to do is I want you to go into your mom and dad's bedroom, sneak in there real quiet like, don't wake them up, go to your dad's wallet, take all of the green things out of his wallet and send it to me. And he gave his address.
Did he go to jail?
No, but he did have to apologize the next weekend because some kids did it.
I wonder how much money he made.
I don't know. They were sending him cash. I don't fear that. Y'all send me cash. 10 Music Circle East. I'm not above it. I got a big old house to furnish, for goodness' sake.
You got a big old house.
Good
boy.
gracious. It's too big. It's too big. It's too big. There's too much. By the way, thanks to Zero Res. I want to give a shout out to one of our fine sponsors on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What a great job they did. They came in earlier in the week. We're getting the thing painted on the upper level, but in the basement area, there's a lot of carpet down there. And there were little stains and whatnot on the carpet, and they came in and got it done, boys.
Got it right out, did
Got
they?
it done, and no chemicals. I love that. Safe for the pets, safe for the family. And just kudos to Zero Res, fine sponsor of Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I don't personally endorse them, but I endorse them, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, Dave.
So
yes.
if y'all have any carpet needs, need to get your house cleaned, I would strongly recommend Zero Res. It's spelled the same backwards and forwards.
Yeah, backwards or forwards, it's still the same.
It's Zero Res. So thank you to those guys. Thank you to all of you for indulging us in the hours that you do or in the minutes that you do, whatever time you're able to give us. We're appreciative of it. So Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, our own app, SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. And then there's also Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. YouTube chat running over there. Like and subscribe. Give us the old thumbs up. What's that costing today, Ken?
Absolutely nothing, boys. Yes.
It costs you nothing to just go over there and do us the favor of giving us the thumbs up, and it helps us out, and we would appreciate that. I don't have any kids to feed, but I got a house to furnish. So help me out by giving us the old thumbs up. You know what? If we get enough thumbs up, that might buy us a hutch or a credenza.
What's a credenza?
I don't know. I don't know what any of these things are that I'm told that we have to buy now. I have no idea. All I want's a TV and an easy chair.
I think a hutch is kind of like what my home studio is in. It's like kind of a little breakfast nook. Is that what they are?
No, I think a hutch is like what you put dishes and whatnot in. It's like a china cabinet for normal people.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but everything has to be mid-century modern, Ken.
Oh,
Mid-century modern. Do you know what that means?
no.
I don't either. But apparently our house is mid-century modern, and all of our stuff has to be mid-century modern.
You gotta. I like your house.
The
man.
really expensive sofa that I bought,
Yeah.
apparently that's mid-century modern, I'm told.
You've got the kind of house. You should get you one of those old 60s style clocks on the wall that are like just big suns.
Oh, Ken.
You know, with the rays
I
that shoot
know.
out.
And I got the wall to put it on.
Yeah.
That brick wall on the back end, right next to the piano that I negotiated in the sale of the home.
That's right.
Have I told that story on the radio?
Yes.
I
Do
want
you
that.
play piano?
I do not.
You gonna learn?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not really musically inclined. Jackson, you play piano?
No.
You can come, learn to play the piano, and I'll invite you over to the house, and you can tickle the ivories while folks sip on their cocktails. We'll all be gussied up like it's 1966 and we're in an episode of Mad Men.
Oh, you'll be going back to your 50s.
By the way, speaking of the house, and we will not talk of it very much. I mean, I don't want to bore you with conversations about the home, but I do need this. So Debbie Matthews, my realtor, who was in yesterday, and she's a big muckety muck out there in Columbia. She hooked me up with this guy, and this dude won't call me back, and I don't know his name. So, Ken, this house that I bought,
Yes, sir.
guess the number of sliding glass doors that I have.
5.
Okay, that's a good guess. Jackson, guess the number of sliding glass doors that I have.
7.
10. There's 10 sliding glass doors. And
Interesting.
so the cool thing is on the deck side of the house, you've probably seen the photos of the deck. On the deck side of the upper level of the house, there's 6 of them in a row. There's boom, 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 and they're old school sliding glass doors, and they round a corner. Like 2 of them are around the corner. So if you can imagine it, you open them up, and you got all of this air and oh man, I can't wait for the spring so I can do this. Here's the problem: there's 6 on the top, 4 on the bottom. Guess how many of them work?
None.
4.
2, right in the middle, boys, right in the middle. 1 up top, 1 down bottom. So I need me a door guy.
Yeah, gotta
Right?
get a door guy.
I got to get a door guy. So I asked Debbie, I was like, hey, do you know a door guy? Because, look, I know I bought a house from 1960. I know that there will be all of these types of things. That's part of the fun.
Sure.
But I also know my limitations. I'm going to do a lot of this stuff myself.
Boy, you're like me, dude. I know where I need to stop.
But I understand that I have certain limitations. And old school 1960 sliding glass doors that won't open, all I'm going to do is break doors. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's what would happen with me.
I think it'd be-
guarantee it.
Good content, though, if we filmed it.
Okay. By the way, I came up with another good idea too. It's called I want to do a YouTube segment starring Jackson Williams, and it's called "What Y'all Doing" with Jackson Williams, because every time Jackson walks into a room, you know what he says to us?
What y'all doing?
What y'all doing?
Yes, sir.
You do. I don't know if you know you do this, but you do. What you doing?
What you doing, bud?
What you doing, bud? With Jackson Williams.
I'm
it
down.
Would
I think it would take off.
the only thing that it would involve is you doing exactly what you do now, except you hold a phone and record it while you do it. We're going to do this. But anyway, so I asked Debbie, hey, Debbie, you know a door guy? She goes, yeah, I know the Door King.
Ooh,
I
that
was like,
door king.
You know the Door King? And she said, why, yes, I know the Door King. Did you rescind your invitation to me, by the way, Jackson? No? Okay, I'm joining you again. I was like, okay, you know the Door King. Well, I need to know the Door King because I need the Door King in my life because I got 8 out of my 10 that don't work. And I know my limitations.
Yeah.
And she says, okay. And she sends me his number, and I call it, and it's just an automated, the number you have reached is not currently taking calls at this time. Please leave your message, and he'll call you back or whatever. And so I leave a message, 2 of them now, and no call back. And I call Debbie, and I say, what's this dude's name? And she said, I don't know. I just know him as the Door King.
Oh, I thought she was just joking, like he's the door king. He's actually the door king.
He's the Door King. That's it. I think that's the name of his company, the Door King. And I said, "Are you saying dorking?" Which I don't think we can say that on the radio.
Mom, turn it down.
Mama Weaver, that was Matt Murphy.
I don't know.
That was not your innocent child.
Are you saying that he's a dork? And so he is he's the king of the dorks? She said, no, he's the Door King. I was like, okay, either this guy's got a great sense of humor or he's got no clue what he has done with his life. No one knows his name, and he won't call me back. So if y'all know the Door King, tell him I need him. And I got a lot of doors that need some love. And if you don't, and you know somebody that works on doors or works on sliding glass doors, let me know. What, is the Door King on line 1 now? Maybe?
Well, I'll be.
Well, maybe.
I'll be.
Aubrey has an idea. Hey, Aubrey, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm good, and congratulations on your house.
Well, thank you.
And Mount Pleasant is not in Venezuela, regardless of what Jackson said.
You tell him. You tell
Anyway,
him.
I want to tell you, with that many doors, let me tell you what to do. You need to look into getting the collapsible doors, the accordion doors, because if they're going to have to take them out to put you new doors in anyway, the collapsible doors, you can use just a portion of them and open, or you can fold them all the way back, just like an accordion. And they are amazing. So you have the perfect setting to use something like that.
Ooh,
and you
that
talk
sounds
about
good.
having a party and having that deck and having the house open. It gives you inside and outside livability.
I love it. You're going to be
Okay.
the first person invited if this works. But
Okay, thank you. I'm not far from Mount Pleasant, so I can make it. But anyway, check into collapsible
all right.
patio doors. And if you look that up online, you will be amazed at what they can do and what it will look like when you get through with it. Because even though it's a mid-century modern home, this goes right with it.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to
yeah,
look into that.
okay.
But here's the one. Here's the one hesitation I have, Miss Aubrey.
what's that?
That sounds expensive.
Well, you get what you pay for.
Well, that's true.
If you want cheap little sliding doors across through there, just go right on with your bad self.
Miss Aubrey, you're my kind of people.
Yeah,
I like
but now,
that.
if you want it to look like something,
I like it.
Put the extra dollars in there, because it really. And I mean, you talk about resale value. There you go.
I love it. I love the
Okay.
idea. Listen, whatever we need to do, I was hoping, and I like the idea. Miss Aubrey, I'll let you know how it goes, and you're the first invited if we get. Yeah, I know the one she's talking about. They kind of collapse on themselves.
They look like accordions, right?
Right. And it looked like.
I think we had one in one of the houses I grew up in.
I love it, but that sounds. I guess what you have to establish. I mean, I don't feel like there's going to be any issue with wall supports, because I mean it's just the wall supports are on the inside of this. They're on the inside of the house.
Okay.
Which is how you can stack one after another after another. I've got 6 of them in a row around the corner, and I just realized that we've got 2 columns on the inside of the house. That's going to be your support for the home. So we could do that. So, Miss Aubrey, I love that idea. Send me that idea in writing and a check for, let's say, $12,000, and we're rolling with it.
You know what you got to be careful of with those sliding glass doors?
What's that?
Are you and E ever thinking about getting a parrot or parakeets or anything like that? They'll fly right into them. Having a little parakeet I had growing up named Bonnie flew right into it.
Ken, the answer to that question is no, we are not. But 2, but Ms. Beasley and birds would not get along.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Mrs. Weasley?
Correct. Actually incorrect. But this house needs a parrot. Let me tell you, this house is begging for a big ass parrot cage on the end where all those doors are.
That is a loud house with you and a parrot.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Woo, the things that parrot would say after living with Brother Murphy for a while.
Have you ever
Most of it not allowed to be said on
That's
radio.
True. There's an old joke here. God, what's the joke? And the punchline is there's a guy. Oh God, there's a guy that plays piano in his house. He's got a piano in his house, like a little baby grand piano, and he plays piano every night. And he's got a parrot, and the parrot hates it when he plays the piano, and so the parrot flies out of the window and goes to the neighbor's house and just squawks and squawks and squawks at the neighbor's house every time the guy's playing his piano. And the neighbor's just sick of it. He's just putting up with it every night. He's just sick to death of it. I mean, that parrot will fly out of the window and go into a tree in his backyard just just every night. And so finally, the guy's had enough. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and he gets out of his bed, and he puts on his robe, and he goes out his front yard, and he goes to his neighbor's yard, and he bangs on the front door. And the guy comes to the door. He says, "Do you know your parrot is squawking in my backyard?" And the guy says, "No, but if you hum a few bars."
What?
You don't get it?
No.
No, come on.
I know, man.
He's playing the piano.
Right?
And so he thinks he's asking him to play a song. That's a good joke. That's a good joke.
That's on me, Brother Murphy. That's on me.
Do you know your parrot is squawking in my backyard? No, but if you hum a few bars.
Ha ha.
That's a good joke. I don't care who you are. That's funny. It's 26 after the hour on Super Talk. Friends, it's Matt Murphy for Keith, Stephanie, and the rest of the crew at Contours and Contours LLC. You know, we eat right. We try to exercise. We're trying to do the right things in the new year. It's halfway through January. How you doing with those resolutions? Have you lost the weight that you wanted to lose? Are you frustrated like you were last year because there are places where you simply can't get it off, and you're wondering, what in the world do I have to do? You have to call Contours. You have to allow Keith and his team to help you get to those stubborn areas where you're working hard, but you just can't get the fat off. Now, this is for both male and female patients. Men and women, we want to talk with you. Sometimes we need a little help. And my friends at Contours in Cool Springs, they are here to help. Their Ultra Slim Body Contouring guarantees you'll lose 2 inches on your first visit, or that first visit is free. And oh, by the way, that first visit, that Belly Buster special, is $99. I've gone through this process. The first time that I went through the red light therapy, which is non-invasive, it's safe, it's painless, all you have to do is lay there and enjoy the warmth of the red light therapy, and you'll lose weight. You'll lose inches. 2.67 inches. 2.67 inches. My first visit at Contours LLC. You could be the next success story. Give them a call today. Tell them that I sent you. 615-236-9960. 236-9960. ContoursLLC.com. What do you have to lose but inches? Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and just down the road from high Nashville prices, you will find Volunteer Outfitters. Tommy and his team, they've set up shop on New Shackle Island Road in Hendersonville. I've been there several times. Every time I go, I buy something because they've got great brand names and great prices. I'm talking about brand names like Southern Marsh, Extra Tough, Huck, Orca, and many, many more. Drake as well. Durango Muck and Extra Tough boots are 15% off every single day. Perfect for the hunter in your life. Perfect for the working man or for somebody that just enjoys time outdoors. So Christmas has come and gone. Did you not get what you wanted for hunting season? Did you not get what you wanted under the tree? Let's get what you want from Volunteer Outfitters. Tuesdays are T-shirt Tuesdays at Volunteer Outfitters, where you get a free T-shirt with every purchase. You can give them a call to ask them more about what they've got to offer at 826-9337, or simply stop by. They're on New Shackle Island Road, just off Vietnam Veterans Parkway, to the left as you go down New Shackle Island Road. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Volunteer Outfitters.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And a jury has sided with a Tullahoma student who said his suspension for posting Instagram memes of his principal violated his free speech rights. The student created the satirical memes off school grounds, and jurors found the posts caused no disruption. They ruled the district did violate the Constitution, but the student received just $1 in damages. Tullahoma City Schools had already repealed the policy used to justify the suspension. President Trump pushing a new health care plan just as Obamacare open enrollment ends in most states. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Everyone, not just a small fraction of those who are within the healthcare marketplace, but every single American will continue to see their costs go down.
The administration in this plan wants federal dollars to go directly to people to purchase health insurance, but the idea faces an uphill climb in Congress. United States has seized the sixth tanker tied to Venezuela in the past several weeks. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says a Coast Guard tactical team boarded the motor tanker Veronica during a pre-dawn operation in the Caribbean. Officials say the ship was defying President Trump's quarantine on sanctioned vessels, and the seizure happened without incident. Prosecutors in Philadelphia charging 26 people with allegedly running or being a part of a major sports betting scheme that they say involved 17 college men's basketball teams. According to U.S. Attorney David Metcalf, the alleged scheme involved making money off the point spread of games, and the players involved would manipulate outcomes to ensure a high payout.
The defendants would identify a game in which a corrupted player had a team that was favored to lose, and then they would bribe said player to deliberately underperform so that his team would lose by more than they were favored to. They would bet for them to not cover the point spread.
In return, players would get anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 per game. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. East Bank going eastbound. Got a crash right there at James Robertson Parkway, exit 48. Here in the Gulch, got a crash going eastbound just past Demumbrian. And then if you are outside of Davidson County in Cookeville, we've got westbound 40 shut down between exit 280 and 286 for multiple vehicles piled up in a crash. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hi, friends. Matt Murphy for Alpha and Omega Computer Consultation. Let's talk about it for a moment. If you're a business owner or you run, a school or a church or even a nonprofit or whatnot, the last thing you want is to spend a lot of your time working on your computer systems. Odds are you're not in the computer industry, so the last thing you want is to have to deal with emails or firewalls or computer systems or printers or any sort of IT. You need the IT professionals on your team, and that's truly what happens when Alpha and Omega becomes a part of your business. They become a teammate where they can provide emergency service available 24/7, rarely used because if you think about it, you shouldn't use your emergency service very often if your IT team is on top of it on the front end. Plus, they can protect you from ransomware and cybersecurity attacks that happen to businesses like yours every single day. Friends, the bottom line is this. It saves you money to develop a relationship with someone like Alpha and Omega and Michael and his team, because with an IT contract, they can handle all of your computer needs, and you don't have to worry about it. You can be in the business of bettering your business. That's what it's all about. Give them a call at 615-784-0096, 784-0096, or online at ANO.net. That's A&O.net. To all of you folks that are commenting on the super text line that you didn't like my joke, I would suggest that it's all of you. It's not me. Some have suggested that young Jackson, a.k.a. J. Willie, a.k.a. Y2J, a.k.a. Action Jackson, in this case, a.k.a. Reaction Jackson, should have had the womp, 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 womp ready to go. But you probably, in your defense, Jackson, had no idea just how bad the joke was. It's a better joke if you – that's one of those jokes, Ken, the type where it's a 5-minute joke, and it's a really, really nice build-up, and then the payoff is really for the joke teller. It's for nobody else.
Right.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
That's Bob Barker.
That's good enough. That means I failed at the Showcase Showdown, I think.
Yeah, that was Bob Barker, and what was that show? Price is
that was
Right.
The Price is Right.
Yeah.
I used to think The Price is Right was in a huge. Have y'all ever seen the actual place where The Price is Right is filmed?
Never did.
It is not a big place. It is probably, our little performance studio downstairs, Ken. Probably a little bit bigger than that.
Really?
Well, I take that back. It's probably about twice as big as that. But there aren't it's not near. I used to think it was in like a place like Bridgestone Arena when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was in a big auditorium, and I thought it was in the town I lived in.
That's cool. Yeah, I love it. That's good. I wanted to be on that show so bad. So bad. No, my grandma watched it
Matt
every day.
Murphy, come on down.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Have your pet spayed and neutered. So long, everybody.
The Price is Right was in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Well, it's on right there on the TV, kid. Why wouldn't it be? Good old Bob Barker with that long microphone. Talking to he wouldn't kiss him like Richard Dawson would.
Oh, Richard Dawson, boy, he'd plan it.
He'd lay one on you. I'm being told to stick to radio, to leave the comedy to Jackson. Mario wants to know, ask Ken if that parakeet actually flew into the sliding glass door. You know, we know his history with woodpeckers and all.
It did. It flew into the door. Poor little Bonnie.
I think I've told you. Bonnie was her name?
Yeah, I had a blue parakeet and a yellow parakeet. They were named Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Bonnie was the yellow parakeet, and she'd beat up Clyde.
Oh,
Poor
well.
little Clyde, he was a sweet little fella.
Yeah.
But he never ran into a glass door, but Bonnie would.
My grandma did not have two at a time, but she had two parakeets in my childhood. And this is when she still smoked. I think I've told you the story, Ken, where she would sit at, she had a little counter looking over the backyard with two windows, and she would look out over the backyard, and Tweet Tweet was the first one. Little Tweet was there, and poor little Tweet, my grandma would be sitting there smoking her Vantage.
Yep.
And a little Tweet's over in the corner in the cage. And so, you know, everybody's smoking the Vantage, Ken. I'm smoking the Vantage.
Yes.
Mom's smoking the Vantage. Tweet smoking the Vantage. And, you know, I think parakeets are supposed to live like 3 or 4 years, 5
Something
years
like
maybe.
that, yeah.
Tweet died after about a year. And I remember like it was yesterday, my grandmother talking to a friend of hers from down there. I don't know why he died. And even as a kid, I'm thinking, because that Tweet smoking about 5 packs a day, man, equivalent. And so she got another one. I forget the other one's name. The other one died too. So, you know, eventually Ma stopped smoking.
Yeah, they all die eventually.
Yeah,
that's for
I guess.
Sure. But it's sometimes, sooner than later.
Trevor says, what you need is a couple of cockatoos. That'll drive the neighbors crazy. No jokes. Off limits.
So I can't say it'd be the only one in your house?
Someone did say, I can imagine Matt Murphy arguing politics with a parrot. Yeah, I would too. A lot of folks are commenting on the fact that a parakeet looks a lot like a woodpecker.
They don't look anything like a woodpecker.
Except when they're at the bottom end of a brick.
Somebody said, my God, Ken Weaver either kills them or rams them into doors.
Ken is really the Jeffrey Dahmer of birds.
He's really. I bet there aren't any birds in Weaver's yard, boy.
That's Jeffrey Dahmer's guy who eat people, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
good.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
All right. So, Becky says, I need a contractor. You're right, Miss Becky. I appreciate it. Those doors Miss Aubrey talking about are extremely expensive. I installed a set of those that were 12 foot wide by 8 foot tall, and it was around 20. What? Whoa.
Wow.
20 grand. Yeah, I actually look. They're called Nana wall doors, what she was describing. And yes, they are.
Ungodly expensive.
Well, Josh writes in and says, Murphy, those are called nano walls. Roughly $50K installed for your situation. Signed to Josh. We're just looking to repair the doors we got, fellas. We just want to get these fine vintage sliding glass doors operational. That's all we're looking for. While we're on the subject, we'll get to content in a moment. I promise you. I got Caroline Levitt audio. I got Tim Walz audio. I got Insurrection Act conversation. But before we get to that, we get to Angela. Hey, Angela, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's funny that you say that. I am your local Nanowall rep.
Are you really?
I am.
Angela, you need to give me a call. We need to get a deal going. They don't have to be They don't have to be $50,000, do they?
No, they don't. I mean, you can do some of those as a nanowall or an operable door, or you could do, you could do some of them, but not all of them. Do windows elsewhere, but yeah, it's really amazing. Like if you have a nice view from those areas, it's a good one, and it lets that air in. I think the big thing that people talk about is make sure you got a screen or something outside for bugs. But if you don't mind bugs, you're good.
Well, I mean, I don't mind bugs. I kind of am a bug, so I wouldn't mind that at all. Well, I'll tell you what, Angela, the same number that you called me on,
Yeah.
text me on, and give me your information, and we'll talk.
Will do.
Okay.
I go out to people's houses and help them figure out what they want to do, and then we can give you a quote.
I love it. Love everything about it. So just, use this number and text me, and then I'll hit you back, and we'll get in contact.
All right. Will do.
All right. Thank you, Angela.
Oh, there you go,
Good
Brother
luck.
Murphy.
That's what we're talking about. Now I'm spending money, Ken.
Yeah.
You notice how, and I'm picking on you, Angela. I know Angela's still listening. You notice how we got off the subject of price real quick.
That's how it always is.
You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, it's not really that expensive. Oh, no, you're fine. Anyway, but they're beautiful and they're gorgeous and you'll love them and you get some screens up and you'll be fine.
And that's whenever you end it by saying, isn't that super?
Isn't that super? Oh, no. We don't need to spend it. We're in a let's not spend any more money phase already. And I haven't even moved in yet. I haven't even paid the movers. All right, 615-737-9986. So I hesitate to bore you with the entirety of this, but I think it's important that you understand where we are regarding Minnesota and where we're going regarding Minnesota. There are elected officials in Minnesota that clearly don't seem to care about the health and safety of the American citizens that live there in Minnesota. And they are obviously not concerned about the laws of the United States of America and how they pertain to immigration and customs enforcement. You have grown-ups that are trying to deal with a situation that we've been living through for the past I don't know how many years. You have some people that just want to ignore the law. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, wants to ignore the law. Keith Ellison, the attorney general of Minnesota, wants to ignore the law. They want to ignore the law when it comes to Somalian fraud. They want to ignore the law when it comes to illegal alien activity. They want to ignore the law as to what it says about immigration and customs enforcement and their law enforcement operations and their ability to come into a given community and deal with illegal aliens who are there. There's a way to do that, as I've described these many weeks. There's a way to deal with this. If you don't like the laws, then change them. What you may not do is ignore them. What you may not do is take to the streets and interfere with lawful enforcement of current law. Yet Tim Walz and his ilk, they pretend like they can. And more dangerously, and we saw the evidence of this last night, Tim Walz comes out. It is no coincidence that the governor of Minnesota comes out attempting to move as far as he possibly can away from allegations against him that he had prior knowledge of the fraud that was going on in his state and he allowed it to happen. I don't think there's any question that that's the case. Tim Walz knew very well that illegal activity was going on in his state. He knew that fraud was happening. The only question now is whether he was a part of it. So he wants to have any conversation that doesn't have to do with Somalian daycare fraud, right? So he welcomes this and doesn't really seem to care if he's endangering the citizens of his state. What is frightening is the manner in which he presents immigration and customs enforcement as the bad guy, as if they're the criminal wrongdoers. And those that are breaking the law, they're the good guys. They're the resistance, if you will. And so now we have to have a conversation about whether or not Donald Trump has to invoke the Insurrection Act and bring out the United States military. No one wants to do that. What we're not going to do, Governor Walz, is just leave. That's not the way this works. When law enforcement comes to your house and says, hey, we have a warrant to search your home, and you say, no, I don't want you to search my house, and they say, no, we have a valid warrant and we're going to search your house, and you say, no, I'm just going to ask you to leave. You're going to need to leave. Guess what's not going to happen? They're not just going to leave. If you get pulled over by the police on suspicion that you are driving intoxicated or under some sort of substance, driving under the influence of something, and the officer comes up and he smells alcohol on you and he says, hey, I'm going to need you to get out of your car. We're going to have to do some field sobriety. We're going to have to figure out if you're drunk or not. You don't get to look at that officer and say, no, I'm just going to drive on home and you're going to get back in your cruiser and you're going to go away. The officer is not going to say, oh, okay, if you don't want this to happen, then it's not going to happen. That's not the way that works. Tim and the rest of Minnesota, you have illegal aliens in your state. We have to clean up the mess that has been going on for the past 40 years. Donald Trump did his best in the first term. Did you see that we had a net negative migration in 2025? That's good news, by the way. I was talking with Chris and Dan. We recorded. They've invited me to be a part of their podcast, Mostly Peaceful, for 2026, and I'm honored to be a part of it. And we were doing the podcast earlier today, and we were bringing this up. And I've long said I call for a 2-year moratorium. Chris said it should be 5 years. I said I'm willing. I'm ready to go. A moratorium on all immigration, if for nothing else to figure out who the hell is here and whether they ought to be here and whether they're a benefit to the United States of America. There's nothing wrong with saying that. That's not xenophobic. That's America first. So Tim and Keith and the rest of you officials over in Minnesota, just because you don't like the law and you want to pooch your lip out and go nanny, nanny, boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo and stick your fingers in your ears and pretend like none of this is happening, it's not going to go away, buddy. You get with the program and get with the law, or, you get busy living or you get busy dying. As the great Red from Shawshank Redemption taught us. All right, so I've spoken too long. I can't play you the clip. I'll play it after the break. It is Super Talk 99.7. Would love to hear from you. What do we do? Are y'all ready for the Insurrection Act? That is it a step too far? Is there another path that we can take? 615-737-9986, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for King & Associates Insurance. King & Associates covers your home, covers your car, and I am not just a spokesperson, but I'm also a client. Two of the most important and biggest investments monetarily that you will make, your home and your auto. King & Associates, they protect both with coverage that fits your life and fits your budget. If you're a first-time home owner or you're thinking about buying, if you're growing your family or you're just shopping for better automobile rates, they make it simple. You will not find pushy salespeople, just honest advice, personalized service. And here's what I love. They don't work for an individual insurance company. They shop for rates that are best for you. They shop for programs that are best for you. They're local and independent, and they truly do work for you at King & Associates. My guy was Emery. That's who I talked with on the phone. That's who served me. He perhaps will serve you, or you'll get one of the other fine agents at King & Associates Insurance. One way or the other, you'll get quality service, the best prices around, and a company that works for you. 329-8121, 329-8121. Get a free quote today on your home and your auto or online at tkinginsurance.com, tkinginsurance.com. King & Associates Insurance, protecting what matters most. Hello, folks. Matt Murphy. Accurate Mortgage is your go-to shop for all things home mortgages. Friends, I use them. I talk about them. They're great at what they do. Accurate Mortgage understands that interest rates have been up over the last several years, but they're going down, thankfully, because of an improving economy. We're hearing mortgage rates are finally coming down a bit recently, but you know what else has gone up? Interest rates on credit cards and whatnot. You need a trusted local advisor from Accurate Mortgage to help guide you through this craziness that is the market for your home purchase or your home refinance. Whatever you might be doing, they're going to be the go-to place. And let me tell you something, personalized service, you're not just a number, you're a name. They are a part of the community, and they encourage you not to lose the savings in your wallet to the interest rate in your head. That's a way of saying now's the time to strike as home prices are going down and interest rates are going down as well. Accurate Mortgage. Visit them today, AccurateMTG.com. Whether it's a home purchase, a cash-out refi to renovate your current home, or to pay off high-interest credit card debt, AccurateMTG.com. Accurate Mortgage, NMLS 129944. Rates and terms subject to change. Equal housing lender.
A Tennessee student's Instagram meme sparking a First Amendment fight. Hear what a jury decided today. That's coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So we've got a governor of the state of Minnesota that does not seem to understand that his words matter. And the governor was presenting a message last evening that seemed to suggest that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they were the bad guys, and that the bad guys, the illegal aliens that they're trying to get out of our country, were just your friends and your neighbors, your coworkers and whatnot. Despite the fact that the people that they're going after are gangbangers, Tren de Aragua, in some cases, pedophiles. Oh, yeah. And so because Minnesota is not working in compliance with the law and they're not working with the federal government, a suggestion has been made that perhaps it's time for the Insurrection Act, which has been around since almost as long as our country has been around. I will describe it to you, explain it to you in a moment. You'll hear some audio from Tim Walz and some audio from Caroline Levitt earlier today that was just dramatic. In the meantime, Jackson Williams seems to be taking off clothes in the control area. We'll find out what that's all about.
He might become one of our stories in the 5 o'clock hour.
He might be a nincompoop. You never know. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here comes the real news.
It's just unseasonably warm in here.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, News 2 says a federal jury has ruled that Tullahoma High School violated a student's First Amendment rights when it suspended him for posting memes of his principal on Instagram. The student's defense attorneys said that the student made the satirical memes at home in 2022, and the posts caused no disruption at school. Jurors agreed his rights were violated, but awarded only $1 in damages. The school system's already removed the suspension from his record and changed its social media policy. A newly announced Trump health care plan aims to cut costs. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt.
The Great Health Care Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for health care plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%, and that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
The administration proposing direct payments to help people buy insurance, though many details still unclear. Congress would need to approve the changes. And the United States has seized a sixth tanker tied to Venezuela in the past several weeks. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says a Coast Guard tactical team boarded the motor tanker Veronica during a pre-dawn operation in the Caribbean. Officials say the ship was defying President Trump's quarantine on sanctioned vessels, and the seizure happened without incident. Prosecutors in Philadelphia charging dozens of people with allegedly running or being a part of a major sports betting scheme that they say involves 17 NCAA men's basketball teams. According to U.S. Attorney David Metcalf, the alleged scheme involved making money off the points spread of games, and the players involved would manipulate outcomes to ensure a high payout. Metcalf explains how it worked and how the two ringleaders allegedly operated it.
Mr. Fairley, Mr. Hennon, and these other leaders would bribe NCAA basketball players to the tune of $10,000 to $30,000 per game. The player would then agree to deliberately underperform in the game in which his team was favored to lose by a certain amount of points. They would then try to lose the game by more than that amount.
A Hamilton County man is charged after deputies say hidden cameras in his home captured video of a teenage babysitter in the bathroom. Investigators say the discovery was made by the suspect's wife, who they say found the videos on his phone. Detectives later seized cameras and storage cards during a search of the home. 42-year-old Christopher Collins is facing 9 felony charges there just outside of Chattanooga. And in money news, a growing number of drivers are trading in cars that are worth less than what they owe. New data from Edmunds showing nearly 30% of trade-ins at the end of last year had negative equity. On average, those drivers were more than $7,200 underwater, the highest level ever recorded. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in Hermitage, we have picked up a crash. This is Andrew Jackson Parkway, just north of Old Hickory Boulevard, Dotson Chapel Road. Looks like a crash about to be cleared 40 westbound at Hermitage Avenue. Also, Meharry Boulevard at 17th Avenue North. And look for stop-and-go traffic if you're northbound 65 up to the South Loop. And it's looking that way eastbound South Loop over to 65. And if you are eastbound 40, then you're trying to go eastbound 40 and you're trying to go 65 northbound, well, you are going to be coming to a complete stop there, too, just west of downtown. And then in Putnam County, the interstate shut down there between exits 280 and 286 for several vehicles involved in a crash. I'm Ken Weaver.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Lively first hour. Coming up in hour number 3, not this hour, but the third hour of the program. Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton will join us to talk about the legislative session that has begun in 2026 in the state of Tennessee. The General Assembly has gavelled in. We'll talk about priorities for the General Assembly coming up with Cameron in the 5 o'clock hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Until then, your telephone calls and obviously focusing in on the situation in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Clearly, the governor of that state, Tim Walz, does not care about his constituencies. If he did, he would want to work more with the governor would want to work more with the president of the United States to try to ensure that legal citizens are taken care of at the same time that illegal aliens that need to be deported out of Minneapolis and out of the United States of America are. Sadly, they don't seem to care that much about the rule of law. So there you go. We will address that. I would love to hear. There are several of you on the super text line that are saying, well, one in particular. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, this one. This is good. This is good. Matt, ICE is the bad guys. They are the Gestapo, the modern day Gestapo of America. Donald Trump created this Gestapo, just like Hermann Goering created the Gestapo in Germany in the 1930s. Same difference, just different uniforms. Look out, Second Amendment to the people, Second Amendment to the people. I'm just reading it as it's written. I cleaned up some of the spelling errors. Okay, where to start here? Number one, ICE was not created by Donald Trump. Immigration and Customs Enforcement was created by law after the formation of the Department of Homeland Security, and that was the result of the aftermath of 9/11. Now, I'm happy to have an argument as to whether we need a Department of Homeland Security. I'm happy to have an argument as to whether we need the Immigration and Customs Enforcement federal agents moving through the United States, enforcing immigration law throughout our country. I'm happy to have that conversation. But let's not lie about what happened. Let's not lie about how it happened. It was the result of radical Islamic terrorism that led to 9/11, that eventually led the United States of America to recognize that we were not immune from some of the terrorist activity that we'd seen around the globe from radical Islamic terrorism. And we recognized that we needed to fortify the homeland. Once again, we can argue whether or not this has been done properly. We can argue whether or not it should have been done at all. But let us not argue about whether or not it was done constitutionally. Most certainly it was. It was passed by Congress, signed by a president, not Donald Trump, George W. Bush. Barack Obama seemed to like it just fine. Donald Trump utilized it just fine. Joe Biden, they may as well sit at home during Joe Biden's tenure because he opened up the doors and let anybody and everybody come in that wanted to come in. So let's not pretend that this is anything new. It's not. Insurrection Act, even older. So Donald Trump says, listen, if we can't get law and order on the streets of Minneapolis, we're going to do something to make sure that the citizens of Minneapolis are protected. And if the government there will not do something about it, we will. In the meantime, old Tim Walz had a few things to say yesterday. By the way, yes, sadly, there was somebody shot. There was someone shot by the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement because people apparently believed Tim Walz when he said they were the bad guys. The Department of Homeland Security said yesterday that an agent from the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement shot an illegal immigrant from Venezuela after being ambushed. The incident occurred, obviously, about a week after Renee Good was fatally shot for not following a directive there and attempting to run an ICE agent over. This prompted reaction from Democrat Governor Tim Walz and Democrat Mayor Jacob Fry of Minneapolis. On a post on X, DHS said the illegal immigrant who had been released into the United States by the Biden administration in 2022 tried to flee from agents. The law enforcement officer caught up to the subject on foot, attempted to apprehend him when the subject began to resist and violently assault the officer. While the subject and the law enforcement officer were in a struggle on the ground, two people came out of their nearby apartment and attacked the law enforcement officer with a snow shovel and a broom handle. As the officer was being ambushed and attacked by the two individuals, the original suspect got loose and began striking the officer with a shovel or a broomstick. Fearing for his life and safety as he was being ambushed by three individuals, the officer fired a defensive shot to defend his life. The initial suspect was hit in the leg. Assaults against ICE agents have increased 1,300%. Attacks against using motor vehicles increased 3,200%. Death threats against ICE agents are up 8,000%, according to January 8th release by the Department of Homeland Security. Why is that? Can someone explain to me why they think that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they're the bad guys? I understand the correlation that the left is attempting to make. Because sadly, we have been infiltrated by not thousands, and not tens of thousands, but millions of people that do not have a legal right to be in America. The Biden administration opened the doors, and then they looked at us and claimed that there was nothing that they could do about it. It was such a lie from the pit of hell. They opened the doors for 4 years and invited anyone and everyone that wanted to come. Do y'all remember the images from Del Rio, Texas? I do. Do you remember the images from Eagle Pass? Remember the tens of thousands of mostly young males that were there under the bridge at Eagle Pass and in Del Rio? Do you remember what the Biden administration did in response to all of those individuals being here? Because some media outlets were forced to cover it. Fox News was the first. There were other media outlets. I think CBS was one of them. Kudos to them for actually covering the news. And there was drone footage. And I remember it was specifically on Fox that they had a drone and they brought the drone up and they showed this drone footage. And there were thousands and thousands of people underneath the bridge at, I think it was at Eagle Pass, in Eagle Pass, Texas. It truly demonstrated the depth of the situation that we were dealing with, and it was only a small microcosm of the totality of what we were handling at that point and in the future. Joe Biden and his administration, they demanded that Immigration and Customs Enforcement stand down, that border security stand down. I'm not making this up. And we need to say it as loudly as we possibly can so those in the back of the room can hear it. We need to say it loudly enough where even those in Aniana can hear it. Joe Biden did not believe in border security. And what's going on right now in the United States of America is a part of the cleanup that needs to happen. No one wants to see grandma removed from her house. I mean, I hate it. But I understand that this has been going on in a different way for so long that you've got grandmas and grandpas and other people that have been here for a lengthy amount of time that have never gained legal status in the United States of America. And if I were to tell you that you were not at risk for deportation, I would be lying to you. And it's time that people stopped lying to you. And that's part of the problem. For far too long, these namby-pamby, mealy-mouthed, spineless, nutless politicians have been lying to you about immigration and what it means to come here legally versus illegally. You are never, no matter the length of time, immune from removal if you came here illegally. I am sensitive to it. I am one of your friends in this endeavor. I am sensitive to the idea that we are partially culpable because of not doing anything about this issue for the length of time that we've not done anything about this issue. So if you've got people that have been here 15 or 20 or 25 years and they've never gotten legal status, they've never bothered to do that, then anyone telling you that you're not at risk for removal, they're lying to you. You are. I'm sorry that you are, but you are. Because we have rules. And you broke them. And I'm sure you've got very good reasons why you did. But you did. If you will allow us, if the American people will simply allow the rule of law to be followed, we have to clean up the last 5 years right now. And I believe that the American people are good-hearted enough and are of good spirit enough that after we clean up the problems of the last 5 years, that we can move on to figure out a humane way to deal with the rest. That doesn't necessarily involve removing everybody from the United States of America. And I think that is a fair compromise. That if you came here from 2020 on, you're going to have to go back home. If you've been here for that length of time, there's really no question if you came to this country illegally without the proper documentation or paperwork, I am sorry that you bought into the lie. I'm sorry that people that you trusted told you that if you got here that you would get to stay. But that's not true. And it's time that you heard the truth. And it's time that you made plans to get on home and to get in line. And if you truly want to become a part of the fabric of the United States of America, we're going to figure out an opportunity for you down the road. But that opportunity is not right now. Now, this is the Murphy plan, and y'all can call me. And look, I get a lot of people yelling at me because you think I'm too soft on this, but I'm recognizing the reality of the situation when I tell you that there have been people here since the 1990s and the early 2000s and the 2010s, and they bought the lie, and we haven't done anything about it for a length of time enough that we need to act like human beings and recognize that we need to figure out a different path for those people. If you've been here and you've not violated the law in any fashion and you came here illegally, we're not going to make you U.S. citizens. That is cut off for you, but we can get you to a legal status in this country. You have to pay a fine. You have to come forward. We have to get you out of the shadows and into the light. We have to demonstrate that you've not violated the laws of the United States of America in the past, that you are not taking from any entitlement program in the United States of America currently. And once we set up some sort of recompense for the violation of the law, we're going to allow you to stay here. Is that not a fair compromise? But here's what we have to have in concert with this. We have to be strong-armed in our approach against those that are lawbreakers, that do want to do harm to this country, that don't want to assimilate into our culture, that don't want to become a fabric of the United States of America. Secondarily, we need to take a strong approach with those people, and we do not need to apologize for the other approach either. That is the Murphy plan. But sadly, And I know some of you, and I can feel it on the super text line, on the phone lines right now. Some of you are going, Murphy, what are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. They violate the law. They go back home. And I hear you. Y'all have to move a little on this subject too, because we're dealing with groups of people that vote that don't want anything to happen to these people. They want anybody that wants to come here to just be able to come and be a part of the American experience and suck from the American teat. And those are insane people. It is insane to suggest that we should not have border security and an appropriate immigration process. It is insane to suggest that we do not have political sovereignty in this country. If you do not have sovereign borders, you do not have a nation. Governor Tim Walz does not believe in sovereign borders. If he doesn't believe in the ability for the federal government to enforce immigration law. And he said he didn't. He said it last night. Now, this plan that I'm presenting to you takes responsibility on the part of the United States of America for the fact that we haven't dealt with this until now. But now we have to deal with it. Otherwise, you will continue to see Americans suffer. You will continue to see Americans die at the hands of people who should not be here to begin with. And I, for one, am sick of it. And I'm sick of the idea that we have a large portion of the American population that thinks that just because they have feelings about all of this, that they get to determine what laws they follow and what laws they don't. You don't get to interrupt a legal law enforcement operation just because of your feels. That's Murphy's rant on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What do you say? 615-737-9986. I'm proud to note that during my rant, Jackson Williams has not taken off any further clothing. I do need to clarify that you did not get naked. There are some people that were suggesting that perhaps you got nude. No one ever said that you got nude. What we did say is that you did take off two separate shirts.
Yeah, I had two pullovers on, and I took them both off.
Because it is warm in there?
It is a little warm in here.
Okay. But you have no plans on taking off any further clothing?
For now.
Well, there were some people on the Super Text line that were suggesting that this might be a money-making operation for you.
Everything has its price.
That's what she said. Yikes. 24 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So you might expect when you call yourself the Glock Store, and they do at the Glock Store, you might expect that they have all the latest and greatest fun technology. They have all the latest and greatest performance parts and accessories. And obviously, they've got the latest Glocks, the Gen 6. The ones with the new optics, the RTF6 texturing, the beaver tail flat face trigger, easy for me to say, trigger guard undercut, all of the new stock refined things that they have done to the Gen 6 that make it the best stock Glock ever produced. And it's at the Glock Store, but the pre-orders have gotten them out of stock, right? I mean, they received their first shipment of the 17s, 19s, and 45s, and they were literally gone before they got here because of pre-orders. But they do have rental items available, and as a thank you for the next batch of pre-orders, go on down to the Glock Store, check out the Gen 6, look at it, feel of it. The rental department, if you want to check it out, if you want to see how it shoots, you can see how it shoots too, and tell them that you heard about them on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk, and they will throw in, when you sign up for your pre-order, they'll throw in an extra magazine on me, on us, on the Glock Store. When you pick up your new Gen 6 Glock, you'll get that extra magazine just by mentioning my name. That's why they call them the best in the business, folks. The Glock Store, minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Tell them that I sent you to the exclusive, the one and only, the Glock Store.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, News 2 says a federal jury says Tullahoma City Schools acted unconstitutionally when it suspended a high school student for Instagram memes poking fun at his principal. The 2022 posts included what his attorneys say were playful, satirical images that the student created off campus. While the jury found the district violated his free speech rights, they also ruled the student wasn't harmed and awarded just $1. Officials had already updated the policy that led to the suspension. President Trump rolling out what he calls the Great Health Care Plan aimed at lowering health care costs nationwide. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
This plan, once put into legislative text and passed by Congress and sent to the president's desk, will stop sending big insurance companies billions of an extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice.
But officials offered few details. Many parts of the plan would require approval of Congress. Federal authorities say they've seized a sixth Venezuela-linked tanker as part of the expanding U.S. crackdown in the Caribbean. Homeland Security officials say the motor tanker Veronica was intercepted overnight for violating sanctions and moving through restricted waters. The operation, carried out by a Coast Guard tactical team, had ended without resistance. Prosecutors in Philadelphia are charging 26 people with allegedly running or being a part of a 3-year sports betting scheme that they say involved 17 college men's basketball teams. According to U.S. Attorney David Metcalf, the alleged scheme involved making money off the point spread of games, and the players involved would manipulate outcomes to ensure a high payout. Here's ABC's Aaron Katursky.
Certain basketball players were paid a bribe, anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a pop, to underperform. Guy usually scores 30 points a game. Maybe he'd only score 6, so that his team would lose and sports bettors would win big. And that, of course, defrauded the gambling platforms, some individual bettors, and prosecutors said today that it corrupted the integrity of college athletics.
Yeah, defendants also allegedly operated a similar scheme on Chinese Basketball Association games. And here in Tennessee, Hamilton County investigators say a Hickson man just outside Chattanooga placed hidden cameras in a bathroom and recorded a teenage babysitter. The case came to light when authorities say the man's wife discovered the recordings in a hidden folder on his phone. Deputies recovered cameras, SD cards, and additional files during a search of the home. Christopher Collins was taken into custody and is facing 9 serious felony counts. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Northbound 65, it is stop and go up to the South Loop. Same goes eastbound South Loop over to 65. We've got a crash on 24. It's eastbound right before I-440. And now in Bellevue, a crash. This is involving injuries. Old Hickory Boulevard right there at Highway 70 South. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hi, friends. Matt Murphy for Defend Systems. Brink and his team want to help you. If you're a business owner, if you are a decision maker at a church, a school, or another place of business, or perhaps you're a decision maker at any place that people gather, Defend Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. Here's the deal, folks. it is not likely that you will be involved in a workplace violence situation. It is not likely that you'll be involved in a shooting situation, and we would never want that to happen to you. But that possibility is not zero. Matter of fact, it seems like it's more likely nowadays than it has been ever before, and it is time to get trained, and hope is not a plan. Let's get trained with the best with Defend Systems. They offer your company rapid response medical training, emergency and intruder action plans, security improvement consultation, site survey and threat assessment, all customized to your facility and all at your direction. In other words, they can help train your employees as to what to do in the unlikely event that something bad should happen in the workplace. That's what it's all about at Defend Systems. Reach out today at 615-236-6484, 236-6484. Brink and his team will get back with you if they don't answer the phone immediately, or go online and find more about them at defendsystems.com. Hope is not a plan. Let's get trained with Defend Systems. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What do you guys think of my idea? 9971 says, soft and weak, Matt, soft and weak. Deportations are the moderate solution. Well, 9971, what would be the what? They've had years to face the music. Now they got to go. No compromise. Well, you're not dealing in reality, 9971. So if you take a hardline approach such as that, which is probably you probably have about, let's say, 25% of the population that agrees with you. If you have 25% of the population that agrees with you, 40% of the population at least, maybe even 45% of the population, they don't want to do anything about this. Sadly, mentally, 40% of the voting population have been compromised to the point that you want to talk about compromise? They don't think that there should be anything done regarding, they want to disband Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They want to disband enforcement of our immigration policy altogether. My position would be that you walk it back, you find those that have been here for a length of time, you force the removal of those who have not been here for any length of time, you put a moratorium on all immigration in the United States of America for at least 2 years, 24 months. No, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about everybody. We need to figure out who's here, who needs to go, and who needs to stay. So if your position is that I'm soft and weak, you're not going to get anything that you want. You've got to move too. Just a little bit. And you know why? Because we didn't do this 10 years ago. We didn't do this 20 years ago. When we came to the realization that Ronald Reagan had been duped in 1986 with Simpson-Mazzoli, that they were never going to get the border security funding that the Democrats had promised Ronald Reagan, we should have done something about it then. When we recognized the rampant fraud and abuse that was going on with the I-9 system that was created by that Simpson-Mazzoli Act, we should have done something about it then. You know what we should be doing in the halls of Congress right now? We should be enforcing E-Verify for every business, and I'll ask Cameron Sexton about this. I think every business in the state of Tennessee should have to go through E-Verify. Everyone. Right now, there's a cap. I think it's a floor cap. It's like under 10, you don't have to do it, and so that's how they get around it. I'm not telling you that it's a perfect way to go. And I'm not telling you that it's the only solution. I'm not telling you that I'm absolutely right. I'm telling you that if your position is that every person that has come here, no matter the length of time that they've been here, has to be deported, then I'm telling you, you're not going to get what you want. We cannot get enough people elected that will go along with your plan. We can't. And so you can either sit over there and moan and bitch and complain about it, or you can do something realistic that will actually affect change. And I'm sorry that I cursed. I apologize. I didn't mean to. Shame on me.
You can say that.
I mean, I know I can say it. I shouldn't. I can, but I shouldn't. I shouldn't. And I'm sorry. So y'all don't yell at me. I apologize. Rod is next up. Hey, Rod.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm great, Rod. I hope you are.
Hey, listen, let me say this first, okay? I'm glad that you and WTM and Westward One has got people like you voicing their opinion over this on the illegals, because I wore the uniform for 8 years. And in my opinion, what the illegals need to do, if they're going to come to this country, then they need to serve in the military for at least 10 years. Nothing minimum. That if they want in this country, they need to fight for this country. All right. And I hate to say it like this, but I believe that you only need to give them one chance to go and join the military and put that uniform on. And for the ones that don't, then whenever ICE catches them, they need to take them right back down there to the Texas border, throw them on the other side and say, you got in here on your own, and we're putting you out on your own for you to go back to your home, because you're not our problem anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's my bitch. So I apologize for saying that too, but I mean, that's just the way I feel about it, because here in the next 12, 16, or 20 years, we're going to have another Joe Biden that's going to do exactly the same thing. And all these Democrats, all they want is a vote. And they're going to go right back to the same thing, is we'll bring everybody in, let's give them all types of money, and, hey, we'll get their vote. Eventually, one day, they're going to do it. They didn't do it this past time, but eventually, one day they will, and then that'll wipe the United States completely out.
Well, and you have a lot of folks that don't seem to, and thank you for the call, Rod. I appreciate the passion. You have a lot of folks that don't seem to have a love for what brought them to this country to begin with. They want to bring their own systems that they seem to be running from. I was talking about this earlier today on the podcast, that, we talk all the time in Tennessee, you're allowed, if you live in we are the United States of America. So if you live in California or New York or Minnesota, for that matter, any other state, you're allowed to come to the state of Tennessee. You're allowed to bring your family to the state of Tennessee, but we just beg you, don't bring the problems that cause you to want to leave. Why would you do that? Sadly, you have elected officials in parts of the country. Give me a little video and audio here, Jackson. You got elected officials in parts of the country like this schmucko that, I mean, they love to say things like this. They love to talk like this. I'm going to break this down because a lot of what he says is total garbage and BS. And some of what he says is just, it's emotional nonsense. Here's Tim Walz.
Minnesotans believe in the rule of law. And
You don't. If you did, you would recognize the legal authority of law enforcement operations from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Minnesotans believe in the rule of law. And Minnesotans believe in the dignity of all people. We're a place where...
Do you believe in the dignity of child rapists? I mean, this seems like this is just one of these dumb statements that we believe in. That. Do you believe, people pedophiles, do you believe in their dignity?
There's room for everybody, no matter who you are or who you love or where you came from. A place where we feed our kids. We take care of our neighbors.
You feed your kids at those daycare centers where there are no kids. Where are the kids there, Tim?
And we look out for those in the shadows of life. We're an island of decency in a country being driven towards cruelty. We will remain an island of decency, of justice, of community, of peace. And tonight I come before you simply to ask, don't let anyone take that away from us. Thank you, protect each other, and may God bless the people of Minnesota.
I mean, this guy, this is after he told his constituents to go ahead and turn in Immigration and Customs Enforcement or film them or video them. What? That afterwards, after an Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer was attacked, after he said what he said and had to shoot an illegal alien Venezuelan, he came out with a statement, I'm making a direct appeal to the president. Let's turn the temperature down. Well, you turned the temperature up. You're the one that caused some of this chaos by refusing to acknowledge the rule of law that you claim that Minnesotans believe in. Tim Walz is probably enjoying all of this because it deflects away from his potential culpability in the fraud that's been going on, the Somalian daycare fraud and other fraud that's been going on in his state for a long, long time. We're an island of peace unless and until federal agents come into our state. Then we claim that they're the Gestapo and they need to be stopped. Rod has a thought about the border. Thank you for calling, Rod. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm great. Thank you.
Well, I'm from Brownsville, Texas, okay? And came to Tennessee almost 5 years ago. And I need to recognize that, our country is so big, even Texas, if we just talk about Texas, is so big that we have very different perspectives about every single issue. And the border is wild. I was there when I had all these people waiting for that appointment with that app. What was the app in the phone, remember? So you had all these people waiting for the appointment, and you had thousands and thousands of people on the other side of the border in Mexico and in our neck of the woods in Brownsville, right? So, people need help. I recognize that. And also, by the other hand, we need to follow the law. One of the things I see at the border is that it's a different country. It's not like the United States, you and me and most of the people know, And most of the border, like me, we're half Mexicans, half Americans. I was born and raised in Brownsville, but my mama is from Mexico, and my dad was a Republican. And, with the Confederate flags and then with the Mexican food, it was very confusing at the beginning of that, right? But one thing I know is you need to follow the rules, and that's what makes us different from the rest of the world, particularly Mexico. I'm very, very, very aware of what's going on at the border. The border is Mexico. The cartel bosses, they live on the U.S. side of the border. Okay? Their children, they go to the schools where my daughters were going to school.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows that. and they know also all these different paths and all these different points and all the different neighborhoods. And why are we not applying then the law there, the rules there? I mean, I don't want to go in detail because the job I do, I know all this and more. But, you know, we apply the law here, but at the border, not that much, and I wonder why, right? So that was my only comment. I love being in Tennessee. I don't miss the border, just very little. I have many good friends over there, but I think Tennessee is where I want to be.
Well, Rod, thank you for the call. Thank you for the perspective. God bless you and God bless America. I appreciate you, brother.
God bless you.
All right, take care, man. Thank you. If you, several of you are frustrated at me because you're like, we're nearing dinner time, and I'm playing Tampon Tim on audio and video. Let me help you out. I got I can do this. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Let's call it a palate cleanser. She looks better. She sounds better. She's sane. Her name is Karoline Leavitt. She is the press secretary for the executive branch of government, the president of the United States of America. Here's 1.5 minutes of Karoline Leavitt absolutely destroying a liberal reporter. Go.
Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Nolan spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Thank goodness for Karoline Leavitt. Way to go. Right on.
I mean, he admitted it.
Oh, well,
right there.
Unjustifiably, he shot recklessly. Like, what are you talking about, dude? And oh, by the way, he had these statistics. He wants to point out when ICE falls short. You know what he tries to do, Ken? He tries to make the perfect the enemy of the good, right? When you have an operation where you have 30,000 agents and they are in dangerous situations consistently as a part of their job, sometimes mistakes will be made. There might be a brief detention of a United States citizen. When you find out that person is a United States citizen, they release him out of custody. Well, he wants to focus on all of that. He didn't want to focus on the people that are killed at the hands of illegal aliens. I bet he doesn't have those figures at his fingertips. Of course not.
I wonder if he identified who he is with.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm going to try to do like an image search or something. If anybody knows, if anybody's seen this clip or if you've just watched this clip and you know who this schmucko is, let us know, because this guy, good for Karoline Leavitt.
I mean, he is going into this thing with a preconceived notion.
Right.
With his own opinion. You cannot do that as a objective journalist. You cannot do that.
I mean, you know, we love to joke around when Ken Weaver says, I just do the news, boys. But y'all know what that is, right? That's Ken saying, well, we're entering an arena where I just want to deliver the news. I just want to deliver the facts, and I'll let Matt Murphy deliver the opinions. That's what journalism is all about. And Ken Weaver understands. Ken Weaver has his own opinions about all this stuff, but he doesn't. He makes, and I don't want to speak for you, Ken, but I think I'm safe to say this, that Ken recognizes what his job is versus what his opinions are, and he understands the difference.
I work very hard at it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's what it's all about. That's why people trust you, Ken. That's why people love getting the news from Ken and Joan and the rest of the good people that do the news over at Super Talk in the newsroom. And look, I'm an opinion guy. I'm going to deliver facts to you, and if you ever feel like I'm wrong on the facts, you call me out. All you have to do is call me up and call me out. But I'm an opinion guy. That's what I do for a living. This guy claims to be a journalist, and he's not. He comes at it. He had decided that the ICE agent was in the wrong. And he decided it on the front end, and everything about his questioning was couched in those terms. We've got movement on immigration in this state, and Cameron Sexton is making that move. And Cameron Sexton will be with us coming up in just a moment as Speaker of the House to talk about not just the 2026 General Assembly, the new legislative session, but also some of the things we're doing on the immigration front. That is up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Efficient Heating and Cooling. I told you the story about what happened with me. You know, my heater, I've just been in the house. We're not even officially in the house yet, and the heater kind of went janky. But I knew who to call, Jeff Eddy in Efficient Heating and Cooling. And Jeff sent out Roger, and Roger was so great. Let me tell you, they've got such professionals at Efficient Heating and Cooling. Roger's been in the biz for a long time, and he cleaned it up, and he fixed it up, and it was at low cost to me. That's what I love. Maintenance your units, friends, because it will extend the life of your heating and your air conditioner. Maybe you need a second opinion if somebody's told you that you have to replace. Well, here's the deal. I didn't know. Efficient Heating and Cooling could have easily said, yeah, it's time to replace that unit, Murphy. And I would have said, okay, but they don't do that. They said, we can fix this thing and we can get you more life out of that unit. That's called saving you money. And that's what it's all about at Efficient. So if something goes out, if something goes wrong, you need help, call Efficient. They're also an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can select a new unit when the time comes. EfficientHVAC.net or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for our friends at Efficient.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And over at the State House, Tennessee Republican leaders have unveiled a sweeping new immigration package for the 2026 legislative session. These bills would require proof of legal status for public benefits, driver's licenses, and professional certifications. They also mandate E-Verify for all government hires and increase cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities. Democrats say the proposals distract from rising costs and the issues voters actually care about. A jury has sided with a Tullahoma student who said his suspension for posting Instagram memes of his principal violated his free speech rights. The student, according to his attorneys, created satirical memes off school grounds, and jurors found the posts caused no disruption. They ruled the district did violate the Constitution, but the student received just $1 in damages because the jury said he wasn't harmed. Tullahoma City Schools had already repealed the policy used to justify the suspension. And President Trump is pushing a new health care plan just as Obamacare open enrollment ends in most states. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Everyone, not just a small fraction of those who are within the healthcare marketplace, but every single American will continue to see their costs go down.
The administration wants federal dollars to go directly to patients, but the idea faces an uphill battle in Congress. And the United States has seized a sixth tanker tied to Venezuela. This is the sixth in just the past several weeks. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says a Coast Guard tactical team boarded the motor tanker Veronica during a pre-dawn operation in the Caribbean. Officials say the ship was defying President Trump's quarantine on sanctioned vessels, and the seizure happened without incident. Prosecutors in Philadelphia are charging 26 people with allegedly running or being a part of a major sports betting scheme they say involved 17 college men's basketball teams. According to U.S. Attorney David Metcalf, the alleged scheme involved making money off the points spread of games, and the players involved would manipulate outcomes to ensure a high payout.
The defendants would identify a game in which a corrupted player had a team that was favored to lose, and then they would bribe said player to deliberately underperform so that his team would lose by more than they were favored to. They would bet for them to not cover the point spread.
Players would be paid for their participation, according to prosecutors, at least $10,000 to $30,000 per game. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. On the South Loop, we have a crash on the left shoulder. That's going to be eastbound right there at 65. Then in Woodbine, a crash, 24 eastbound right before I-440. In Donaldson, a crash, Lebanon Pike just east of McGavick Pike. If you're eastbound 440, it is stop and go before you get to 24. Eastbound 40 over there to the eastern split to get down to either I-440 or continue eastbound 24. You're coming to a complete stop there. Just a lot of volume. I'm Ken Weaver.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll continue the conversation about immigration, illegal immigration, and otherwise coming up in just moments. As a matter of fact, I believe that will be a conversation that comes up with our next guest. So if you're on the phones, hang in there. We'll get to you momentarily. If you want to join us on the Super Text line, please, by all means, 615-737-9986. Obviously, we're focused on Minneapolis, Minnesota, and everything that's shaken out there. There's a lot of national stories going on, a lot of international stories going on as Donald Trump is weighing what to do about Iran. We're covering those stories for you in the newsroom and here in studio. But there's also a regular session of the Tennessee General Assembly happening, and it is our privilege and pleasure to have in with us Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton. He joins us to talk about some of the priorities in the House and in the body, generally speaking, and it's good to have him in studio with us. Cameron, good afternoon. Welcome in.
Good afternoon. Thank you for saving me from maybe getting back into snow in Crossville, so thank you.
Oh, wow. Is it, y'all are up on the plateau, right?
We're on the plateau. Yeah, weather's always a little different up there.
Oh, it's my favorite phrase to use on the radio show is up on the plateau because the weather's always different on the plateau. Everybody knows it.
You know, and the one unique thing about Cumberland County is if you're talking about the plateau, it's a plateau. If you're talking about a road that's named the same, they say plateau.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
it's just it's the local way to do it.
I learn new things every time we're in. All right, I'm going to ask you to speak to this because your haters will get on me if I don't.
Okay.
There was a situation that came up between yourself. I know the guys that you utilized to drive you around from place to place. There was a situation that came up between you and the Metro Nashville Police where, I mean, and it was an unfortunate, I feel like it was just kind of a misunderstanding. And, you know, your haters are saying, oh, Cameron, the rules are different for the Speaker of the House than different for the rest of the people. And I just want to give you an opportunity to speak to this issue. For those that don't know, there was an incident where you pulled over Metro Nashville, kind of got aggressive with your guys. Maybe they didn't know that these were Tennessee Highway Patrolmen. Just speak to this.
Well, that was the thought process that they thought. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, really, you have two laws in the state of Tennessee, one that was passed in 2023, one that was passed in 2024. A lot of people are misconstruing. They think they call them a driver or a chauffeur. That's not what they are. They're an executive protection unit. And in the state of Tennessee, the governor, the first lady, AG, Supreme Court justice, the two speakers, all have executive protection. And so that's their job. It's a unit. Their job is to protect. And so everybody has those individuals on their side. They're former highway patrol people, but they're in the executive protection unit now. The law in 2024 is very clear that no one can impede basically impede the duties of the executive protection unit. And so when they're with their dignitary and they're doing their job, no one can interfere with that, whether it's local law enforcement, individuals, or so forth. That was a law that was passed. That was the law. I can't speak to what the Metro officer was thinking, but that law, if they knew the law, then they would probably act a little bit differently. So there was no laws violated by the Highway Patrol or anybody like that. They were doing their job.
Any regrets on your part?
Look, at the end of the day, their job is to protect me. And whatever they feel like they need to do is what they need to do.
Well, the argument would be that the speaker's not above the law, and posted speed limits are posted speed limits, and unless there was something else going on, that maybe there was a little lead foot action happening.
Well, but what you have to understand is those laws do not apply to the Executive Protection Unit. They have their own laws in 2023 and in 2024. So the speed limit laws, those other laws, they have the jurisdiction to go the speed limit or go faster than speed limit based on what they feel like that they need to do. It's their determination in the job that they do.
And just speaking for yourself, just put a cap on it, that you would never want your protection unit to do anything, and you would never expect them to do anything that would endanger any other people toward that end.
No, their job is to do the situation, feel like they need to do what they need to do to keep the person safe.
Sure.
The same way that the Secret Service does, the same way that the military does for other individuals or other dignitaries in the state. There's a certain procedure on how they respond and what they do and how they go, and it's not my job to tell them how to do their job.
And that involves the Speaker of the House, the position. It's not about Cameron Sexton. It's about the position that you are currently in.
It's been a long history in the state that the speakers and the governor have executive protection. I can't tell you how far back it goes, but I'm sure it goes back to the 60s and 50s or however long it is. But their job is to protect. The laws are clear that they have the ability to do what they need to protect, and the traffic laws and other things. That's why I said they didn't break any laws. People can assume that they did, but they did not based on the state law that they are under.
Fair enough. Asked and answered. So I think we're just getting to a point. We were discussing this at length today on a national scale, and I want to boil it down, obviously, to the state of Tennessee. I think we're just, even a year into Donald Trump's second term, learning some of the damage that the Biden administration engaged in terms of illegal alien activity coming into the United States of America and right here in the state of Tennessee. And I believe that your office and the General Assembly, you're working toward mitigating some of the damage that has been done in this state. What can we do as a state to help assist Immigration and Customs Enforcement, help assist what are is the rule of law regarding immigration, illegal immigration specifically, and what are you planning on in the General Assembly?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Look, it started last year in special session when Leader Johnson passed a bill that allowed a grant process to help local law enforcement to be part of the 287G contract with the federal government to help ICE and others with illegal immigration when they uncover it or find it and work with them. We have, I think, close to 50 law enforcement agencies in the state who are now doing that. It's been a huge success. What we're looking at now, we're looking to add to that. And so when you're looking at what's happening in Minnesota with the fraud, a lot of those people are here illegally.
Sure.
And so they were able to get public benefits and other things that they should have never had. What we're trying to do is, one, enforce the law, put mechanisms in it to enforce the law that we are looking at here in current law. We're looking at preserving legal immigration, which I think is very important. People want to say that Republicans are anti-immigrant communities. No, we're not. If you came in lawfully and legally, we appreciate you. It's those who come in illegally that we're trying to stop. So we want to preserve the legal immigration system, and we want to protect taxpayers. It's important to protect your dollars. Mm-hmm. What we do know is close to $1 billion approximately is spent on illegal immigrants in the state of Tennessee. That could be going to a different effort. Could be going to education. Could be going to roads. It could be going to a lot of different things. But we're having to spend it fighting illegal immigration. And so some of the things we're doing is we're requiring that the state and local have to verify legal status for public benefits. That's housing. That's everything. It hasn't been done before. It has been done at the state, but not at the local level. If the locals don't want to do it and they're violating state law, then we have the capability of withholding state shared sales tax dollars from them.
Okay.
Benefits should be for those who are here legally and lawfully, period, not for those who are here illegally. We're also going to do E-Verify for all government jobs. Right now, it's not mandatory. It's if you want to, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. But we're mandating that the state and the local government's public employees all have to be E-Verified, every single one, every single new hire.
Can I pause right there and ask, and maybe you're getting to this, what about all businesses?
So we have that. I was heard earlier. We have it on the books now. It's like 25 and 50, depending on how big your business is. There's going to be efforts this year to come back on that regard.
Lower the threshold?
Look to lower the threshold. Look, I think the other thing that we have here is we also have professional license, you're going to have legal status to get a professional license in Tennessee, which is something else that affects that E-Verify in private businesses, where you have individuals who may have a professional license, but they don't have to check legal status to get it. Mm-hmm. And so we're forcing states and local, once again, if you're having a professional license, you have to E-Verify or check their legal status to make sure that they're here legally. And then in the instances where you have a state where there's a reciprocal license, if they do not have check legal status before they apply it, before they can get the reciprocal here, they have to show us that they have legal status. So we're not going to allow California to give a license to an illegal who wants to come into Tennessee if we have a reciprocal agreement
that license
and not know.
Yeah.
So we're protecting ourselves from bad players across the country with that reciprocal license process. We're also driver's license. And so what we're saying in driver's license is it's an English-only test that you take. Now, you get a one-time exception. It's only good for 12 months. What we understand is in Crossville, we have Stone Peak and Crossville Ceramics, which is a porcelain tile companies from Italy and Germany. Sometimes they send people over who may not know the English language, but they need to know how to drive. So we'll give them a one-time shot for 12 months, a non-English test. After 12 months, they have to take the English-only version. And that license is restricted in that 12-month period to what they need to do. It's not an unlimited license. At the same time, we also understand that to get a driver's license in Tennessee, you have to have a check legal status. You have to be here legally to get a driver's license in the state of Tennessee. Well, when you go get your car tags, they don't check legal status for car tags, right? And so what we're trying to do there is we're going to check legal status for car tags now. So if you're an illegal, there's no more loophole where you don't have a driver's license, but you can have a car. We're changing that loophole, which is important. And then there's a lot of reporting and other things to understand how big the problem is, what the costs are as we continue to move forward.
I love the idea of continuing to have Tennessee as welcoming a place as possible, but also kind of pulling the honeypot away from those who should not be in the country in the first place. And if other states don't want to do that, that's fine. But in the state of Tennessee, we're going to abide by these rules.
That's right. Well, look, we're much different than California, Minnesota, and everybody else. And what's happening in Minnesota, what they're allowing for people to block the streets can't happen in Tennessee because we said you can't block streets. Them putting their hands on law enforcement, you can't do that either in our state because you're going to be held accountable and being arrested. So we're going to hold people accountable to those types of things, and that's why it's not happening here. At the same point, we're going to make sure that if you're here legally and lawfully, then these things apply to you. If you're not, the other thing that we've done is when it is uncovered that it's unverifiable or they're not here legally, it's a mandatory report to ICE. And so once we uncover it, we're automatically responding to ICE. The locals have to do it. The state would have to do it. And that will also generate some additional things.
I'm sure some of the locals don't like that very much, but what do you say to them?
Look at
I'm thinking of Nashville.
Well, what we're doing is we say you can't have a sanctuary city in Tennessee, right? We passed that bill.
Right.
But the problem is when they don't work with ICE, when they say, well, we're only going to work on criminal, not civil, we don't really care if they're here or not legally or not.
They're doing it anyway.
There's a loophole. So we are closing that loophole in sanctuary cities. There are not going to be sanctuary cities in the state of Tennessee. And if locals don't like doing this stuff, then they're going to have their sales tax withheld from them.
So everything that I hear out of Memphis, which has kind of been somewhat of a national test kitchen as to how the state can work together with the federal government to clean up a city that's had significant crime issues and significant illegal alien issues. Right. Everything I hear coming from Memphis is it's working very, very well. Are you hearing the same?
No, we're hearing the same. And what you have is you have some of the city council and the county mayor, they have stopped talking about it. They have gone silent. And the question is, why have they gone silent? With the extra resources, the extra boots on the ground, they're working between Fed, state, and local with their local city mayor who is working with it and their local police chief and sheriff who are working with it. Crime is at a 40-year low in Shelby County, Memphis. Think about it. 40-year low. You now have people who understand what it feels like to have freedom and liberty because they didn't have it.
Be able to go out at night.
Go out at night. You have a kid who had a bicycle in their house that they never rode because they were afraid to go outside. Now the kid was on TV and say, I can ride my bicycle outside, which we take for granted in lots of our state. So that's very important. The other important part is Shelby County is the second biggest economy in our state. Nashville is obviously number one. If we can get Nashville and Memphis up to where Nashville is, what we can do, lowering taxes, funding roads, will put us to a success level that we never seen. That's why it's important to get it under control, even though it's a blue city and some of those blue politicians didn't want it. We cannot allow it to go down because it adversely affects the rest of the state.
Quick timeout. When we come back with the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, we will talk about the Education Scholarship Fund. Has it worked as successfully as Cameron had hoped? And what are next steps for said same? It's 22 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I want to talk with you for a moment about, a subject matter that is of an intimate nature. I mean, obviously, this is a very personal subject, but at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, they understand that you only have one life, and life's too short for not nows, maybe laters, and tomorrows. If you've noticed, gentlemen, issues with performance, and y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Intimate, relationship-based performance, then I encourage you to make the call that so many others have made. Don't go online and trust these online websites. Don't trust these pills that you get through the mail. Trust a focused urology-based practice at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They have urologists and providers solely focused on you and your health the right way. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. They've been doing this since 2014. They have locations in Cool Springs, in Midtown Nashville, and a brand new spot in Clarksville, and one coming in Murfreesboro. Friends, there's a spot for you at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. All you have to do is make the call that so many others have made and schedule that appointment today. It's discreet, it's professional, and gentlemen, it works. 615-208-9090, 208-9090, or online, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Speaker Cameron Sexton explains the reasoning behind the new Immigration 2026 agenda at the State House. That and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WT in a few more moments with our good friend, the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton. Legislative session in process. And obviously, I mean, the big conversation is on education. It often is on education. I mean, obviously, we got to get the budgets through. We got to balance those budgets, make sure that everything's looking good. But education is a priority, as always. The Education Scholarship Fund came into being. It was by every estimation, wildly popular, capped at 20,000. I think there was an anticipation based on the original legislation that it would be a popular program, and it gives you the ability to expand. Talk to us about what you perceive as the success of last year and what's coming this year.
Yeah, so so the listeners know, there's two different types of education savings account. There's the Freedom Scholarship, and then there was the ESA program, which only applies to Hamilton, Davison, and Shelby counties right now. And so if you're looking at the Freedom Scholarship, which is what we passed last year, it was capped at 20,000 scholarships, 10,000 for a certain income level, 10,000 for no income level. There's a different priority system. If you're coming out of public school, that's the second priority after income. And so that's what they look at next to see who qualifies. If you're coming out of public, you get advancement. Look, when we passed it, we didn't know how many people were going to apply because we passed it before the application process was obviously going to happen. We had in the first day close to 35,000 people who applied, which was more than the scholarships. I think we ended up having 40. All 20,000 scholarships were received. They went to, I think almost every single county in the state of Tennessee had someone who had a scholarship or very close to it. People applied from every county. When we were passing it, people like rural counties don't have private schools. They're not going to want it. Well, we have rural school systems or districts that have 20 to 100 to 200 students who are using the Freedom Scholarship. So, yes, people were using it. Look, so we'll see what happens this year. I think in the first 2 days, there's already been over 50,000 people who have applied for it. Doesn't mean they're qualified. You have to go through the qualification process. So we'll see what that looks like. There's still weeks to go on it. It seems to be very successful. It's allowing people to make the choice of what's best for their child. A lot of times we hone in that it's just for private schools with academics. It also covers private schools for kids who have special needs, dyslexia, and other things. And so it does help them to go to those types of schools as well.
So and obviously it's difficult to ask the question prior to, but what do you believe you'll see in terms of expansion, the numbers?
Well, I think on the Freedom Scholarship, it's automatically 5,000 scholarships are going to go up.
Could it be higher than that?
It could be higher because it's based on what revenues put in by the General Assembly and by the governor. I think we're waiting to see how many qualify and then take a look at that number to see if we can afford that number or can we afford another number. But what it does tell you is that parents want to have the ability to have choice. I know there's some reporting issues that we're trying to fix to get through. To solve that, we need to change the application process to align with private schools. We're also looking at changes to the ESA program in those 3 counties as well and trying to do a better job of lining that up and expanding that program than what the current limits are.
A lot of my listeners here in Middle Tennessee have asked me to ask you what the state's – we had this Columbia Power and Water situation. I don't know if y'all are aware of it, but what it boils down to in your world is whether or not we feel like we need to regionalize a water authority in Middle Tennessee.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And Columbia Power and Water passed something. The city of Columbia passed it where they're going to request to the state to borrow $500 million, $500 million, to build a new intake and to build a new, and it begs the question whether or not there ought to be maybe some more regional cooperation. Generally speaking, is that something that you would consider, and have you put any thought into it?
On the water side?
Yeah, on the water side.
Yeah, so when we had the CARES Act money and we gave $1.4 billion to TDEC for water, sewer, and other things, one of the aspects of that contract was regional water authorities. And so there was money put aside for that. And in Cumberland County, where I live, that's what they're starting to do. And so they started with the Regional Water Authority. I think now they have 3 of the smaller companies who are now going to join. I think a 4th is joining soon enough. It allows for costs to be lower. It allows to share for infrastructure. So those are the things that we like to do. Right. I mean, look, our long-term success is how much water that we have and how we can continue to have growth. Look, people can do septic tanks. Sewer is different, but water you need. And it's amazing how many Tennesseans in the state are still using well water and don't have actual water lines running to their house. And so anything that we can do to harvest water, to have more water, to make it cheaper, to allow regional sources, to allow local communities to do that would be great. I'm in favor of building more dams and creating our own water supplies and working with whoever we need to on the federal
y'all
level.
heard it. Cameron Sexton's in favor of the Columbia Dam. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I would be. Look, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we had a presentation from the Army Corps of Engineers when I was on one of the East Bank meetings, which was fascinating. And they were talking about how dams protect flooding in our state. And so the question is, well, then why do we not do more of them? Because then what you can do is you can run hydropower and you can do a lot of different stuff. But it's very hard to get the Army Corps and the federal government to approve new dams.
Because of the West Australian snail darter, Cameron.
I got it.
You know?
But at the end of the day, if it's that good, if you're making the presentation and you're saying it prevents flooding, right, and it prevents this and it helps this, but we can also help produce energy through it, we should do more of it. And sometimes, we allow the liberal activists and environmentalists to limit progress.
Are you, and a complete aside, final question, because I've got to go. I know you've got to go. The tunnel, are you excited about the, I know the state was involved in this project. I feel like businesses and the local leadership, they're kind of slowly but surely recognizing the possibilities that exist here. Are you still excited about this thing?
I am excited about it. I met with Boring this week. They came in to talk about how they're doing. Look, all these individuals, some of the liberals in the city of Nashville and in the state were like, do you know we have rock in our state? And they're like, yeah, we know we have rock. And I have conversations with them. What they say is once you get under the rock, it is perfect tunneling. Perfect. And so they think they can actually move faster. They think
the rock is better than the sand that they dealt with out like in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
right?
But even the rock, when you get under it, the material underneath the rock, once you get under so many feet, they say it is perfect for tunneling and what they're doing. And Nashville and Middle Tennessee will be a huge test case. They want to use Tennessee and Middle Tennessee to show other states what we can do. They think it could be huge. Just outside of what they're trying to do, they think we could be at the magnet to show.
But just to help people understand, there is oversight going on with your guys at the state level, right? Obviously, there are state officials that are overseeing aspects of the project to make sure that there's nothing that is going to hurt the environment or our systems. Clearly there's going to be checks and balances.
Yeah, there are. Look, there's permitting, there's through TDEC, there's other things. All those things are still in place when you're tunneling. They're just through the state, not through the local because of they're taking state routes. So all that's still in place. And look, we can sit in the Capitol when they're building these tall skyscrapers in Nashville and they're blasting out rock and you're a quarter of a mile away, you can feel it. Right?
Yeah.
I don't feel them digging a tunnel underneath the ground. But are they going to protect it? Are they going to make sure everything's going right? Yes. Does Boring want to make sure that they're doing it environmentally sound too? Yes, they do. The issue is not what they're doing. The issue with liberals is who's doing it. That's the biggest issue. It's not what's happening.
Well, and liberals seem to blanch when things happen that don't cost the taxpayers any money, which I kind of like. I kind of like the idea that they're checking off the boxes when it comes to safety. The state's checking behind them on safety. And in terms of cost, it's costing us nothing.
Well, look, at the end of the day, the interesting about our immigration package, to close out on that, is I can't wait to see what Democrats will vote against saying that public benefits should only be for people who are here legally and lawfully. Right? That's a great vote for us in a general election in the state of Tennessee, as well as professional licenses, as well as driver's tests, car registration.
Do we have Democrats in purple districts in Tennessee anymore? Because it's an election year.
There's a couple purple districts. It depends on if it's a lighter purple or darker purple.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's see how those folks vote.
But I can tell you, in Memphis, with crime going down and everything going on, what they thought was blue may be moving towards purple because they're seeing. Wait a minute, what I've been told by the people I've been elected is not really what's true.
Cameron, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to the next conversation as the session moves on.
Thank you very much.
There's the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, joining us for 25, no, more than that, about 30 good minutes. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, state Republican leaders pushing a broad Immigration 2026 agenda aimed at tightening enforcement across the state. Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show the plan includes mandatory legal status checks for benefits, schools, and government jobs, along with new state penalties for local agencies that don't comply.
We want to preserve the legal immigration system, and we want to protect taxpayers. It's important to protect your dollars. What we do know is close to $1 billion approximately is spent on illegal immigrants in the state of Tennessee. That could be going to a different
effort.
Illegal entry and reentry would also be state crimes under this proposal. Now, Democrats, they're arguing the legislation is fear-based and ignores Tennesseans' concerns about affordability in public services. A former Tullahoma High School student won his First Amendment lawsuit over a 3-day suspension tied to memes he posted about his principal. The images posted from home in 2022, according to his attorneys, were meant as lighthearted satire and didn't disrupt the school day. A jury agreed that discipline was unconstitutional, but only awarded nominal damages of $1. They say he wasn't harmed. The school system has since cleared the student's record and revised its social media rules. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Over here on the South Loop, we've got a crash blocking the left shoulder eastbound right there at 65. Then in Rivergate, a crash 65 northbound before Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. And in Woodbine, a crash 24 eastbound right before I-440. And Donaldson, a wreck, Lebanon Pike, just east of McGavick Pike. And at West Nashville, a crash Charlotte Avenue at 46th Avenue. I'm Ken Weaver.
What comes to mind when you think of home? Maybe it's meals around the kitchen table with the family, movie nights on the couch, a feeling of walking through the door and knowing that you're safe. Home is where life happens. That's the center of your life, really. And at the center of all of that is your house's foundation. At USS, they understand how important that foundation is to your life and how much trust it takes when you need help protecting that. January is a wet month, friends. We've already seen this when water starts showing up at your door or in your basement or your crawl space or anywhere it doesn't belong. What do? It can become a serious problem very quickly. Figuring out where the water's coming from, that can be a nightmare. It can come from poor drainage, cracks in your foundation walls, even a hidden leak. USS, their team of experts, they will find out why your basement or your crawl space is wet. They will create a customized plan to fix it the right way with a lifetime warranty. And friends at United Structural Systems, they're more than a team of problem solvers. They're your neighbors. They care about you, and they show it every single day. That's why they've been in business since 1994. USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. At USS, it's more than just waterproofing. It's trustworthiness, commitment. They are USS. Thank you, Ken Weaver. Thank you, Jackson Williams. Thank you, men, for indulging me. I know I was a little bit late with the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, but I thought it was a worthy conversation. I appreciate you. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get back to your phone calls momentarily. It is a Thursday edition. We continue. We've got lots to get into. I'll tell you, I'm thinking about playing this Caroline Levitt clip one more time. I've yet to figure out who this dude is, but it is so good we want to do that. We'll talk about the Insurrection Act a little bit. We'll continue the discussion along those lines. Let me see. We've also, the United States of America experienced a net negative migration in 2025 for the first time in 50 years. That's good news. I have that story. 2025, speaking of, is the third hottest year on record. And you know what? I don't think it's so bad. I don't think this global warming is going to be so bad, y'all. I just throwing it out there for you. Plus, any thoughts on our conversation with Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton? Look, I know y'all don't like his answer about the altercation. For those that weren't familiar, Metro Nashville Police got behind Cameron's SUV. Cameron has, what did he call it? Executive security. These are former Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers that serve as security for Cameron as Speaker of the House. They don't serve because it's him. They serve because he's Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House get it. I guess Lieutenant Governor gets it. Governor gets it. Attorney General. Well, if we don't like those laws that give them special ability to have security, then we can demand that our General Assembly change them. At the same time, they have privilege. I don't like it. I don't like the idea of them speeding along the roadways in a way that might endanger other people, but there was an altercation between them and the Metro Nashville Police that it did not go well, and they have since resolved it. But I felt that I should ask because, well, I want to know the answer, and I want to know if Cameron feels like he is in any way above the law. It's kind of a do as I say, not as I do. Cameron kind of said that's true, that the troopers get the ability to make their own determination and decisions about how fast they're going to go depending on the circumstances. That was his answer, not mine. So you can consume that for what it's worth. It is 5:45 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jackson, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What time is it?
It's time for Nincompoops in the News.
Nincompoops in the News.
So, for those that don't know, in 2025, we formalized Nincompoops in the News. Thank you to Dr. Mitchell at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. And we now have a trophy that is involved for the weekly winner. Ken Weaver won the trophy before Christmas, and he has retained said trophy since then. We use Ryder Cup rules on the Matt Murphy Show, meaning a tie is a retention. And so Ken, the last full week that we had, he tied and he retains. Well, today, on this Thursday, we have a tie of sorts of our own. As Ken Weaver won yesterday, congratulations, Weaver, for winning.
Thank you, boys.
I have won one day this week.
That's way to go, Brother Murphy.
Thank you, Ken. And Jackson has won one day this week.
Way to go, Brother Jackson.
So here's the bottom line, Jackson.
I'm winning today.
Well, here's the bottom line, buddy. You and I, the friend of my friend, the enemy of my friend is my, Ken's the enemy, Jackson.
ABW, anybody but Weaver.
Anybody but Weaver. Because if he wins today.
I've got a doozy today.
Well, I got a doozy myself, but neither of us get to go first. That is Ken Weaver's prerogative, and he has his nincompoop. Take it away, Ken.
This out of Houston, Texas. Jealous girlfriend allegedly threw 25-pound weight at romantic rival's head in wild attack at a Texas gym.
Oh.
24-year-old Erilyn Martinez allegedly recognized this is cop speak, the complainant as someone her partner was involved with at a 24-hour fitness outside Houston last week and threw a weighted plate toward the complainant's head, attempting to cause injury. She is quoted as saying, "B, I'm going to drop this 25-pound weight plate on you," she yelled at Cindy Aguilar before the wild January 7th attack. Well, she was booked at the Harris County Jail and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Facts giving rise to probable cause suggest that alcohol was a factor in this defense, the judge overseeing the case wrote in an order setting bond conditions according to Law and Crime, so she was drunk at the gym. Her bond was set at $1,000, which she posted the day after her arrest. During her release, Martinez is barred from consuming all alcohol, including, quote, any food, mouthwash, or over-the-counter medication containing alcohol. And here's what really hurts. The court prohibited her from using marijuana, possessing any weapons, or contacting the victim. Martinez must also stay 200 feet away from the 24-hour fitness where the incident occurred.
How's she going to get her steps in?
You know what? If she gets drunk enough, she might be able to throw one of those weights 200 feet.
That's true.
They might have should have made that further away.
Man, oh man. How far did she throw it, Ken? Did it say?
It didn't say how far she threw it, but she threw it, and, she called the girl a bad name.
What did the bad name start with?
A B.
A B, yeah.
Ended with an H.
Yeah, that's the way that goes. That's unfortunate. That's nincompoopery right there. Hey, Jackson.
Yeah.
You want to go next?
No, you go ahead.
Dang.
Jackson.
He's feeling it, isn't he?
That's confidence there, I feel. You know what? I kind of want to go with the deer got cut in half by the Tesla story, but I won't.
Goodness.
Oh, yeah. But Elon Musk has a... This is the reason I'm not doing this story. This is not my official story. Don't vote on this story. But the headline was Cybertruck slices deer in half. Elon Musk claims it is safer for pedestrians. I thought it was pretty good. But apparently the guy that owns the Cybertruck won't release the dash cam footage because he said it's too much. It's too gory. But he hit a deer going 75 miles an hour.
Wow.
The deer did not make it. The Cybertruck did, and actually held up quite well.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so.
Because that'll total anything else.
Well, the Cybertruck did okay. The deer impacted the hood and the A-pillar, and it is the sharpest part of the truck, and it's the part where, it looks like the kid drew it, like straight line, boom, boom, and, did not work well. But that is not my story. My story is this. On Tuesday, January 13th, University of Alaska Fairbanks undergraduate student Graham Granger was detained after he was found to be, quote, ripping artwork off of the walls and eating it.
Goodness.
He was doing so in a reported protest, according to University of Alaska Fairbanks police. Granger was spotted chewing and spitting out images pinned to the wall. The artwork was made by the Masters of Fine Arts student Nick Dwyer in collaboration with artificial intelligence. Granger claimed that he destroyed the artwork because it was AI, and AI was, quote, taking over the world. Granger also said, according to university police, they estimated that at least 57 of the 160 images up on the wall were ruined. Granger was arrested for criminal mischief in the fifth degree. In the fifth degree, y'all. So that's on down the line. I don't know if that's worse than the second or third degree.
First degree, I think, is the worst.
Is the worst, Ken? Okay, well, there
Did he think it was one of them scratch and sniff paintings?
Maybe he did. Dwyer said he started using AI in his art around 2018, but had been making art without the use of AI prior to that. In his artistic statement for the exhibit, Dwyer said that his work, quote, explores identity, character, narrative creation, and false memories of relationships. Dwyer explained that he fell into AI psychosis, a troubling new phenomenon defined as individuals experiencing psychosis-like episodes after deep engagement with chatbots. You see, you folks thought that the dude that ate the artwork was going to be the nincompoop. No, it's this stupid art guy who says that he was exploring the psychosis of the art. I think I support Mr. Granger. Y'all can figure out who the nincompoop is in your story, in this story for your own self. But for my money, the nincompoop is the jerk that put this so-called art on the walls in the first place. And I feel like Granger, I don't know why he ate it, but I certainly know why he destroyed it. Granger is a student at the Film and Performing Arts program. His court date is Tuesday, January 20th.
Jackson?
Oh, are you ready for me?
I am.
All right.
No, Jackson, we're not.
Are you sure? You sure you're ready?
I'm ready.
Woman tries to avoid arrest by defecating towards officers in Fort Walton Beach.
Goodness.
What?
On Tuesday, officers responded to the Palms of Emerald Coast massage parlor due to a report of a battery on a Department of Health employee. According to the Fort Walton Beach Police Department, the DOH employee was conducting a routine inspection when Fang Wang, a massage parlor employee, became upset and started yelling at the inspector.
Fang Wang is what she did, not what she was called.
Police said Wang tried to force the inspector out of the business. When officers tried to detain Wang, she started defecating towards officers in an attempt to avoid being arrested.
No, ma'am.
Good grief.
Wang was arrested for battery on a specified official. The Fort Walton Police Department said this was a follow-up investigation related to a search warrant previously served on the location when it was under the names of Blue Bay Massage and Spa, New Magnolia Spa, and Classy Spa. Wang was
Classy Spa.
Wang was present during each investigation.
What's her name?
Wang Fang.
I thought it was Fang Wang.
That's
Thank
my
you.
fault.
Yeah, Fang Wang.
Authorities said the Fort Walton Beach Police Department Special Investigation Unit is investigating the case with the Department of Health and the Fort Walton Beach Code Department and Fort Walton Beach Fire.
If she fangs it, I want my money back.
I'm going to lose my trophy on that story. Dadgummit.
I told you I had a good one.
You got one more shot at it tomorrow,
And the
kid.
fact that her name is Fang Wang.
Fang Wang.
Can I tell y'all something?
First you say it, and then you do it.
I just read the headline and didn't see her name. Oh, I didn't even realize how good this was, boys.
Son of a biscuit eater. I need to look and see if the people in my story were naked.
I feel like that's not a real human. That's just an item on the menu.
I'm going to lose this trophy on that.
No, that's Wang Fang. Fang Wang is her name. Fang Wang would be her game.
Well. One way or the other, you ma'am, you cannot poop at the office. Ma'am.
Put that thing back where it came from.
Goodness.
We're going to need some wet wipes here. That's how we play Nincompoops in the news. Nincompoops in the news.
No pun intended.
On Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's a pretty crappy story, if you ask me there, Jackson, but there you go. Vote early, vote often. I would ask you to vote for me, but I don't think that's happening today.
No, not
Vote for me.
You got one more shot at it tomorrow, Ken. One more.
Oh, I got to come up with a good one.
Yep, 55 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy for Eurofix. You want to know about a place where European auto repair doesn't feel like European auto repair? It's Eurofix. Friends, the moment you walk into Eurofix, you notice the difference. It's not your typical greasy garage. Waiting rooms are clean and comfortable and inviting. Service areas are spotless because Eurofix cares about everything from how you're treated to how your vehicle's treated. Every repair comes with a rock-solid 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repairs Eurofix performs and at below dealer pricing. You don't have to put up with dealer prices. You don't have to get ghosted and waiting on a callback. Eurofix fixes everything European, plus they offer a rental car available at every appointment. Locations are in Nashville, Franklin, Belmead, Murfreesboro, and Mount Juliet. 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or visit online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, the state's GOP leadership introducing new immigration bills today, saying they want to close gaps in enforcement and protect taxpayers. Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton telling WTN's Matt Murphy Show.
Benefits should be for those who are here legally and lawfully, period, not for those who are here illegally.
The package would require status verification for everything from driver's licenses to teacher and nursing licenses. It also creates new reporting requirements and expands cooperation with ICE. Democratic lawmakers say the plan will separate families and distract from pressing issues like health care, housing, and grocery costs. News 2 says a federal jury has ruled that Tullahoma High School violated a student's First Amendment rights when it suspended him after he posted memes of his principal on Instagram. The student, according to his attorneys, made the satirical memes at home in 2022, and the posts caused no disruption at school. Jurors agreed his rights were violated but awarded only $1 in damages because they say he wasn't harmed. The school system has already removed the suspension from his record and changed its social media policy. And a newly announced Trump health care plan aims to cut costs. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
The Great Health Care Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for health care plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%, and that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
The administration proposing direct payments to help people buy insurance, though many details remain unclear. Congress would need to approve the changes. United States has seized a sixth tanker tied to Venezuela in the past several weeks. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says a Coast Guard tactical team boarded the motor tanker Veronica during a pre-dawn operation in the Caribbean. Officials say the ship was defying President Trump's quarantine on sanctioned vessels, and the seizure happened without incident. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Madison got a crash Briley Parkway eastbound just past 65. In Cookeville, an accident. Right lane is blocked. That's 40 westbound. That's what they've been working on all day today, where there were 20 to 30 vehicles involved. That's Cookeville in Putnam County. Now, back here in Nashville, Glencliff got a crash 40 westbound at Spence Lane. And in Lebanon, 40 westbound at Lebanon Watertown, Sparta Pike. That's exit 239. I'm Ken Weaver.
Lots to do in the final hour of the Matt Murphy Show. Pleased to have you on board. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're thankful for that. I appreciate you. And I would appreciate a telephone call or two, 615-737-9986, as we open up the phone lines. If you'd like to talk about immigration, if you'd like to talk about the state of affairs in the state of Tennessee, if you would like to talk about the Education Scholarship Fund, if you would like to talk about anything, our phone lines are open at 615-737-9986. You can also hit us up on the Super Text line, and the number is exactly the same. We are found on Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn. You can download our app, take us wherever you want to go on your smartphone or your laptop or other mobile device. We're also on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. Man, oh man, the YouTube chat is going insane right now. And there's only 74 likes. There's well in excess of 100 people watching. There's 150 people watching right now. And only 74 of y'all have liked the show. Yeah, go ahead and like the show. It costs you absolutely nothing, according to Ken Weaver. Speaking of Ken Weaver, I as of several years ago, I don't know if this is the case now because I don't pay much attention to it anymore, Jackson. You're the resident sports expert of this show.
Yes. Are we going into a sports minute?
I don't think it's an official sports minute. I just need a sports opinion from you, or at least a fact check.
Yes.
There's never been a unanimous election to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, right?
No, they're all unanimous.
No. I think I'm right. That up until at least several years ago, there's never been a 100% first ballot Hall of Famer. I think I'm right in that. Just ask, has there ever been a 100% first ballot Hall of Famer? I seem to remember that is the case, that even the no-brainers get some jackhole deciding that they're not going to do anything with it because they don't want to ruin that record.
Okay, so you have to get 75% of ballots cast.
Right.
There have been no unanimous votes.
Because sports writers are stupid.
Yes. Ichiro Suzuki got 99.7%.
Hey, 99.7%
of the votes.
He got the Super Talk percent of the votes.
Yes, 99.7% of the votes.
By the way, I am told that equally important to our future, the 1,000th episode is very, very important to our future, and that's coming up in the next couple of months. We're at 958 right now, but episode 997 needs to be pretty special too, so we'll have two special occasions. So there's never been a unanimous vote. The reason I bring this up, Jackson, is just as there has never been a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer in the Baseball Hall of Fame, there has never been a unanimous winner of Nincompoops in the News.
Until today?
Nope.
Oh, what'd you get, one vote?
I did not.
Ken got a couple?
Ken got a couple of votes. One of them even identified themselves as a sympathy vote, saying that they liked seeing Ken with the crowd. I didn't realize, by the way, because I can't see. I don't have a clear field of vision to Ken Weaver sometimes. There's me, and then there's glass, and then there's a reflection on the glass, and then there's Jackson behind the glass, and then there's glass behind Jackson behind the glass, and then behind Jackson's big noggin, behind the glass.
There's another glare.
There's another glare, and then there's Ken Weaver. So I was unaware that for the most part, during the duration of Nincompoops in the News, if you were watching on the Super Talk line or the Talk TV, Ken was wearing the crown.
I've seen it every day. It's been my motivation.
I didn't realize that Ken was donning the crown during Nincompoops. And let me tell you something, guys. If y'all aren't watching on Talk TV, Weaver looks great in that crown. Weaver looks like he was pulled straight out of Game of Thrones in that crown. That's a good look for Ken Weaver.
It'll be a good look for me come next week.
Well, several people decided they were voting for Weaver. I think it was more out of sympathy or just, I don't know. They want him to retain it. They're fans
of Weaver.
FOW. They're fouls. They're fans of Weaver.
Not fans of woodpeckers.
That would be an NFOW. Yeah. Not fan of
No, as in their FOW could be two things. They are fans of Weaver, Not to be confused with fans of woodpeckers.
Correct.
Two very different groups, very different meetings.
Right. Yeah. And if you get confused with the meeting, you walk in and there's Weaver with his brick and he's, and it's bad.
It's bad.
Bad news. It was Fang Wang was a doozy for sure, but there's no question who the winner was. So that means Jackson has 2 victories. Matt has a victory. Ken has a victory. If Ken wins tomorrow, he retains the trophy. If Jackson wins tomorrow, then Jackson secures the trophy. If I win tomorrow, Jackson,
I'm going to hit you with the trophy.
No, if I win tomorrow, then you and I are tied, and then we have to figure it out.
How about this? I'll propose this.
I
get the trophy, and you suck eggs.
Is that your starting proposal?
No, that's my final proposal.
No. All right, so I'm going to counter your offer. That's it. Your first offer is you get the trophy and I suck eggs.
Yes.
My counter offer, Jackson, is I get the trophy and you suck eggs. You see? You see how that works?
Well, I think we can meet in the middle here.
We'll figure it out.
How about this, boys? I keep the trophy and you both suck eggs.
We're going to have to woodpecker Ken.
Ken, I just mentioned, I know you were busy doing the news there a moment ago, but I just mentioned I did not realize that you had the crown on.
Yes, sir.
And I just looked on Talk TV. Ken, you could have been cast in Game of Thrones. You look great.
I don't know if you want to do that, Weaver. I've never seen the show, but I've heard some things that might be alarming to you.
I will say this, though, Ken. If you are cast in Game of Thrones, you're probably not going to survive many episodes because you're going to get taken out.
No, from what I understand, back in the day, little fellas didn't do well.
Well,
I don't know. Peter Dinklage still on that show.
Well, that's true.
Oh, he's a little munchkin fella.
I think I'm at least a head taller than him.
Oh, yeah. And you got him beat.
Maybe head and a neck.
You got him beat. The Weaver believers are out in force on the super text line, and kudos to you guys. All right, we have the name of the fella. We mentioned this. This was a great clip, and I'm going to play it again for you. It is a fabulous takedown. Several of you have been requesting it. It is a takedown by Karoline Leavitt. She is the press secretary of the Trump administration White House, and we got this fella. He is a columnist for The Hill named Niall Stanage, and he was trying to be cute, pressing Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt regarding ICE, and this is what he got out of the deal. Give me some audio over there, Jackson.
And earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 U.S. citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
It is a wonderful response to a obviously biased reporter by the name of Niall Stanage. Now, I will say this. I appreciate Niall's honesty, and he tried to retort in saying, he said, well, you asked my opinion. I don't know if you heard him there, but he was like, well, you asked my opinion. Well, here's the deal. You're entitled to your opinion, but your opinion has obviously creeped into your reporting. The premise of your question revealed your opinion on the matter. And you choose not to be fair and balanced, if you will, on the reporting of the news when it comes to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, their legal authority to do their jobs, and the American people desire for them to do their jobs. It is true that Immigration and Customs Enforcement has seen a plummeting of their approval rating over the last several months. Why? Because the mainstream media is biased in the manner in which they're reporting the news. They won't tell you the successes, only those failures. And in a way, it was a failure that they had to shoot and kill Renee Good. But that happened because of the actions of Renee Good. And no, a jury doesn't have to decide anything. We can understand what went down without having to put it in the criminal justice system. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. Would love to hear from you. In the meantime, I believe, I don't know if Tim Walz is just happy that we're not talking about his potential complicity in fraud in Minnesota or what, but it's becoming increasingly obvious to me that Jacob Frey, who is the mayor of Minneapolis, is attempting to get people killed. I'm being serious. Last night, in the aftermath of the ICE-involved shooting. Now, there was a secondary shooting in Minneapolis, and here's what happened. For those that missed it at the first end of the show, or the first part of the show, Immigration and Customs Enforcement was attempting to track down a Venezuelan criminal who had committed criminal acts above and beyond the criminal act of coming into the United States of America illegally. They were trying to get to this Venezuelan illegal alien. He ran from Immigration and Customs Enforcement. At the point that the Customs Enforcement agent got to him, he was trying to apprehend him, and two individuals came out of their homes. One was holding a snow shovel. The other was holding a broom handle, and they began attacking the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent, not assisting him, attacking him. At that point, the agent was fearful of his life. He pulled his service weapon, and he shot and fired at and struck the illegal alien who had taken up an arm, I believe it was the snow shovel, against the agent and was beating him. The agent had to be hospitalized. The illegal alien had to be hospitalized as well. He was shot in the leg. Listen, and this is from Fox News, how last evening Jacob Frey, the Minneapolis mayor, characterized these events.
And we're in a position right now where we have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors. We cannot be at a place right now in America where we have two governmental entities that are literally fighting one another. Why are we put in this position? We're put in this position because we have approximately 600 police officers in Minneapolis, far fewer that are able to work at any given time. And there are approximately 3,000 ICE agents in the area.
Are you listening to what this jackass is saying? The suggestion embedded in that comment was if we had more police officers, we would fight ICE. But we're at a deficit, and so we can't. What about we're not in a position to fight legal law enforcement? We're in a position to support legal law enforcement. We wish it were another way, but we have too many illegal aliens in our community. What about, hey, we'll handle this on our own, and we will agree to cooperate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and we'll turn over illegal aliens to Immigration and Customs Enforcement if they decide and if they are willing to remove themselves from our streets. What about, hey, we support what they're doing? What about we don't support what they're doing, but they're legally doing what they can to eliminate the illegal alien presence in Minneapolis, and they have every legal right to do so? No. And by the way, if you're watching on Talk TV, did you see the cop's expression change? Watch this again, Jackson. Watch this police officer's expression change. So this is, I guess that's the chief of police or whatever behind this.
We're in a position right now where we have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors.
He's like, whoa, what? He's like, that expression, that's news to me. What? Huh? What? By the way, Minneapolis ought to have more police officers, but why in the hell would you want to be a police officer in Minneapolis? Because they don't support you either. If a Minneapolis police officer got into an altercation with a Black Lives Matter protester or some other style protester, the city elected officials would turn on them too. And they know it. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry is pushing for a damn civil war. And he's saying, look, if we had better numbers, or if I had a better general, if I had Robert E. Lee or something like that, I could maybe make these numbers work, but they don't work for me right now. What are you even doing? What are you doing? What you're trying to do is get people killed. And it lends itself to the Insurrection Act, which is what I'll discuss in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, the Wellness Institute of Nashville never stops advancing, never stops learning. They never stop trying to eliminate your pain without having to resort to surgery, without having to resort to pills or to needles. And they've done it. They've done it again, friends, after the incredible state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression. And they've got a 47% discount for 2026 on spinal decompression, which is pretty darn cool. They have the first and only device in the state of Tennessee that is the HydroWave. The HydroWave is brand new technology. It stimulates your very own stem cells in your body to regenerate tissue, to grow new blood vessels for healing through a process called angiogenesis. Friends, no one else is doing this in Tennessee, but they've got the HydroWave at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. It is designed to work in conjunction with spinal decompression. Dr. Mitchell is the first in the state to get it, and he wants to present it to you. So you're invited to start the year with a pain-free life by going to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Go to painisbad.com, painisbad.com, or give them a call today at 615-246-5009, 246-5009. Pain is bad, and we know it. And there are solutions that don't involve pills or needles or surgery, and you can find them at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Ken's crown must have fallen off. Had to go get it. 615-737-9986, our telephone number. We'd love to hear from you at 627, almost 628. We'll talk Insurrection Act coming up in just a moment. But Jeff joins us. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Doing real good, Matt. Today's my Friday, so I'm doing really good.
Hey, how about it, brother? Love hearing that.
Yeah. Hey, I was thinking about this mayhem in Minneapolis there. You got these ICE agents and everything that when they do require help and need to get help, I guess the mayor and the police chief has been told the officers to not go help them, stand down. And with that happening, whether they're an ICE agent or not, they're still an American citizen. And if somebody calls for help, you're supposed to assist. I liken it to the school shooting where I think it's in the news right now, where this cop was arrived at a school shooting and did nothing, and then was charged with child endangerment and all sorts of things. So I think the same should apply to these politicians and police chiefs and stuff. If they're sitting there telling their people to stand down whenever somebody's requesting help, that it's in, like this officer was beat with a shovel and everything. And personally, there have been 3 shootings there. I guess if somebody comes and brings a shovel to a gunfight, But I wonder if these people can be charged with something like that, because if they could charge that officer at the school for not doing his duty, they should be able to charge these other people in Minneapolis.
Well, there will be a lot of lawyers that take up the case and use fancy language about limited resource. I mean, and I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just telling you the answer, right? That they'll argue that they have limited amounts of resources and that they haven't asked for ICE to be present in the community, and that ICE is on their own because of the limited nature of the resources, and they made that plain on the front end, and yada, yada, yada. We all know that they hate them there. Sadly, we all know that they would just as soon that the illegal aliens take over the streets when ICE is gone. I mean, that's the only conclusion that I can draw from what I've heard from Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, and the governor of Minnesota. But you know what? I would like to see, and I was discussing this with our buddies Hand and Mandis earlier today. They invited me to be a part of their Mostly Peaceful podcast, and that airs on Saturdays, and I'm proud to be a part of it. We were discussing the possibility of arresting some of these politicians, arresting Walz, arresting this fly. I mean, exactly what you're talking about, Jeff. My point is this, that you better have clear-cut violations of the law, and secondarily, just be prepared for the onslaught of having to defend Donald Trump and this administration against the idea that he's, quote-unquote, arresting his political enemies. Because that's what you're going to get. You're going to get it 24 hours a day. And sadly, they're not talking to me, and they're not talking to you, and they're not talking to people that listen to this radio station. They're talking to, well, numbskulls. They're talking to people that don't pay as much attention. They're talking to people that only get the top end 5% of the news. They're talking to people that believe that #NeverCNN is actually a worthwhile organization, that CBS, ABC, and NBC actually present the news in a fair and balanced manner. They're talking to those people, and those people exist, and they'll try to convince them that Donald Trump is arresting his political rivals just like Vladimir Putin. You got to be sure that you got them before you arrest them.
Yeah, I think he should just wall Minneapolis off and just declare it a mental institution, keep them inside.
I mean, and
like a chop zone.
And it's funny. Who had Minneapolis on the craziest state in the union card, right? I mean, Oregon, sure. California, no question. Washington, yeah, you bet. Hell, Chicago, not Illinois, Chicago. I get it. Some of these elitist lefty do-gooders in Massachusetts, or even, I won't say Vermont. There's a lot of people that just want to be left the hell alone in Vermont, but they keep electing Bernie Sanders, so what am I supposed to do? But Minneapolis has to be the Somalis or the influx of, quote-unquote, refugees. I can only presume. 31 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, comprehensive medicine in a direct pay format. It's simply the way that things ought to be. I would think universally, but sadly that's not the case. But at Grace Point, they understand that what's most important is the relationship between you and your doctor. Secondarily, it is equally important, just as important for you to get in a timely fashion. We are in the midst of cold and flu season. If you've got a cold and you think it might even be the flu, do you want to wait a week or two before you go to the doctor? Of course not. Grace Point Healthcare doesn't believe in it, so they have same-day or next-day service even for brand-new patients. Secondarily, it is less expensive to do this way than it is the other way, because without the insurance company's involvement, they can set prices. They can utilize their Smart Care plan that you can pay for out of your HSA account, $99 for grown-ups, $79 for the kids. And you don't pay anything else for office visits. Plus, you get free basic labs and diagnostics. This is more cost affordable than the other way. Plus, you don't have insurance companies butting their nose in the relationship between you and your doctor. That's what it's all about. Located in Franklin, 599-6868, 599-6868. You really can afford exceptional medicine at your convenience. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy, about 20 more minutes to go. There is unrest, as you might expect, in Minnesota tonight, in Minneapolis to be specific. Some people are asking, actually, it's 0785, does St. Paul, Minnesota have the same problems as Minneapolis? I would think so. I don't know. I have no idea. 9929 says, what a great analogy, Cousin Murphy. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have no idea what analogy you're talking about, but I appreciate you saying so. Then there's this. I have no idea what this person is talking about either, that said, this an audience is dumb. Well, use your words and explain what you mean by that. 9455 says, I was once a lefty, saw from the inside. It's a psyops. Through and through. I could tell you stories. Big Bro and Cis Rule, concept via media. What a, whatever that means. What a B? I don't know what that means, the last part of that. How is what Trump is doing different than what Eisenhower and Kennedy did to enforce federal law? Well, it's not. I mean, the Insurrection Act. So just real quick, and I'll get to Patricia rather. Insurrection Act authorizes the president to deploy military force inside the United States of America to suppress rebellion or domestic violence or to enforce the law in certain situations. The statute implements Congress's authority under the Constitution to, quote, provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrection, and repel invasion. It is the primary exception to the Posse Comitatus Act, which prevents military force from participating in civilian law enforcement activity. But invoking the Insurrection Act would give the president some authority and the military some authority to do some of these things that the local police are refusing to do. More on that coming up in a moment. Patricia, it is your turn. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'd like to say, if they can spray them with pepper spray, why aren't they not just getting water cannons out there in those sub-zero temperatures, below freezing temperatures? You would think that would stop it. I don't understand why they're not getting water cannons out there. I really don't. I think that would stop all this. And Mr. Phil Valentine, we still remember you. That's all I want to say.
Wait, what was the last part about Phil?
Mr. Phil Valentine, we still love you and still remember you.
Yeah, we love Phil, and
I know. God, I wish he was alive right now. He would love this with Trump, and he would just love this. I think about him. He's still in my phone with, when I call you guys, that's what it comes up as, is Phil. So,
oh, that's sweet.
Love him to death. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the call.
Thank
And
you
no,
very much.
you're right. I mean, by any means, use those non-lethal methods necessary to disperse the unlawful assembly. And sadly, the local police aren't doing anything about it. They're just fine with having private property burned to the ground, it seems. So the law is the Insurrection Act is a statute that was passed by Congress in 1792. And under normal circumstances, Posse Comitatus would prevent the United States military from having the ability to engage in civilian crowd control or any other civilian law enforcement on American soil, including federal armed forces and National Guard troops who have been called into federal service. This prohibition reflects the tradition that we don't turn our military against a civilian government. In other words, we view military interference with civilian government operations as being inherently dangerous. We fear a military that is big enough and strong enough that could take over civilian law enforcement operations. However, invoking the Insurrection Act in a temporary fashion would suspend the rule and allow the president to deploy the military to assist in civilian operations, law enforcement. That might involve any number of things. Police officers, or rather soldiers, doing police officer operations, enforcing a federal court order, and not every use is the same, right? Other laws allow the military to be used to respond to natural disasters and public health crises. That's called the Stafford Act. And other events allow for the use of the military without waiving the restrictions of Posse Comitatus. In theory, the idea is that Insurrection Act should only be used when absolutely necessary and only in a crisis that is beyond the capability of civilian authorities to manage. However, the Insurrection Act does not define exactly what that is. It doesn't limit when it may be used. It gives the president significant power to decide when and where to deploy military forces domestically. So this is a decision that may be made by Donald Trump. Troops can be deployed under 3 sections of the law. And I know that this is a little bit of a history lesson, a little professorial, but I think it's important because if they don't get a handle on this in Minneapolis, or if this grows across the country, I think Trump supporters and law-abiding citizens will come to expect Donald Trump to get a handle on this if local officials or state officials won't. And if Jacob Fry won't, we will. If Tim Walz won't, we will. Now, a couple of pertinent sections. Section 251 says the president can deploy troops if the state's legislature or governor requests it. If they request federal aid to suppress an insurrection, then Section 251 gives them the authority to do so. This requires state consent. Obviously, Minnesota is not going to consent. Section 252 permits deployment in order to, quote, enforce the laws of the United States of America or to suppress rebellion against the U.S. government wherever and whenever unlawful obstruction, combination, assemblage, or rebellion make it impracticable to enforce federal law in that state in the ordinary course of proceedings. Number 3, Section 253 allows the president to use the military in a state to suppress insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy that so hinders the execution of the law that any portion of the state's inhabitants are deprived of their constitutional rights, and state authorities are either unable or, listen now, unwilling to protect that right. This is where Donald Trump could do what he wants. Because Dwight D. Eisenhower did it, John F. Kennedy did it. They relied on this provision to deploy troops to desegregate schools in the South after the Brown versus Board of Education decision. The second part of 253 permits the president to deploy troops to suppress insurrection, domestic violence, unlawful combination, or conspiracy in a state that, quote, opposes or obstructs the execution of the laws of the United States or impedes the course of justice under those laws. So the Insurrection Act has been invoked about 30 times. George Washington and John Adams used it to suppress early rebellion. Abraham Lincoln invoked it at the start of the Civil War. Ulysses S. Grant used it to crush the Klan in the 1870s. Other presidents, including Andrew Jackson, Rutherford B. Hayes, Grover Cleveland, have deployed troops under the Insurrection Act to intervene in labor disputes. And then, of course, there's Eisenhower, Kennedy, and Johnson, all of whom invoked the Insurrection Act during the Civil Rights Movement to enforce federal court orders desegregating schools and other institutions in the South. In the latter half of the 20th century, Johnson and George H.W. Bush each invoked the law in response to civil unrest that caused fatalities. So this leads to the consensus that the Insurrection Act is a specialized tool that the president can use. So analysis is this, that in the past 130 years, the Insurrection Act has been used exclusively in two circumstances, either when a state and local law enforcement were overwhelmed and governors asked for it, or when state authorities were themselves actively obstructing civil rights law and failing to protect constitutional rights. The last time the Insurrection Act was invoked, any guesses, Jackson? This is before your time, but I bet if you thought enough, you could figure this out. I'm going to give you a year, and I'm going to give you a president. It was 1992, George H.W. Bush. 1992, George H.W. Bush. I'll give you a state. The state asked for it. It's California. You got it. You got it. Can't we all just get along?
There were riots.
Rodney King.
Yeah,
the Rodney King riot. No, you had it. I saw it in your eyes. George H.W. Bush, it was requested by the governor of California that they receive military aid in response to the unrest that followed the acquittal of 4 police officers charged with the beating of motorist Rodney King. The violence in Los Angeles killed 63, resulted in over $1 billion worth of damage. At 33 years and counting, this is the longest period the United States has ever gone without an invocation of the Insurrection Act. How about that? So don't let any leftist media organization tell you that this is unprecedented, it's never happened this way, blah, blah, blah. Presidents have not invoked the Insurrection Act without a request from the state concerned, since Johnson did so to provide protection. This is Lyndon Baines Johnson, provided protection for civil rights activists in Alabama marching from Selma to Montgomery in 1965. So nothing in the text of the Insurrection Act gives any sort of authority for the courts themselves to review the case. So the bottom line is this: the President of the United States, the Insurrection Act does not authorize martial law. The term martial law has no established definition, but it's generally understood that it gives the military the role of taking over for civilian government in an emergency. It actually permits the military to assist civilian authorities and not take their place. So Donald Trump, by the way, and several of you have asked me this question on the super text line. Donald Trump did not federalize. He federalized National Guard forces and deployed them to Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland. Those deployments were taken into the courts. He used a different section of federal law and statute to federalize the National Guard when there is a rebellion or a danger of a rebellion, and when the president is, quote, unable to use regular forces to execute the laws of the United States of America. So it was a different section. He did not technically use the Insurrection Act, and probably should have, as opposed to using section. It was, where is it? 12406 of the code. So, I mean, look, it's a long way to say this. The president has every authority in the world to utilize this. It should only be done so if absolutely necessary. If Governor Tim Walz wants cooler heads to prevail, then they can prevail, but he's got to get right with the law, and the law clearly is on the side of the president of the United States in this course. It is 53 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Are you tired of health insurance that feels like a mathematics examination? Do you feel like there's nothing you can do about these surging prices? The premiums are going up, friends. Deductibles are going up to match. You can do something. You do have power. Call Shane Ring in Cover Nash. He can assist you. It's not too late. You don't have to play by Washington's rules. Shane Ring can shop all health insurance on the marketplace today. He can find something right for you. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example. They have a program. It's a nationwide PPO that has a $250 deductible attached to it, flat copays after the deductible, outpatient surgery for just a $250 copay, hospital stays, only a $1,000 copay, and that's it. These types of plans are available to you. They are possible with Cover Nash. Call Shane Ring today and sit down with him. He's located right in Brentwood. He can help. If you're self-employed, uninsured, or just tired of paying too much, it's time to get with Shane and his team at Cover Nash. It is possible to get better health insurance coverage for a lower price with Cover Nash. Real health coverage on your terms, not on the terms of the government. 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or covernash.com. Well, I think we've had a pretty good day today. What do you think, Jackson? How would you rate the show so far?
B+.
B+? You're a hard grader, too. I think part of it is because you won nincompoops in the news today.
That's where the plus comes from.
Oh, well, I like that. We've got a Friday edition tomorrow starring Jay St. Clair. Hey, you know who else is here tomorrow, Jackson? Redheaded Stranger.
Okay.
Not Willie. Pamela Furr. She's a new Williamson County resident. Moved out of Davidson County. We'll find out how that's going for her. She closed on her place the same day we closed on ours. That's going to do it. Yes, a lot of you are saying, go Trump. We need to make it happen. We do need to make all of that happen. We got a Friday edition tomorrow. I hope you have a good evening, folks. It is cold outside. Let's try to bundle up and keep warm in the midst of January. And we'll crank it all up again tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Dan Mandis at 5, Chris Hand at 9, Chad Benson at noon, and yours truly at 3. Until then, have a great evening, folks. This is Matt Murphy speaking and saying, hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.
Hey, this is Pastor Al, and join us on Super Talk 99.7, Sunday evenings from 7 to 8. We're going to look at the news from a